All right, everybody, thanks for tuning in. This is Chris with Drop Dice, and we are back again. This time we are playing a Dragongrin game called Bleakshards, and this will be the first episode of a episodic series designed to introduce players to new systems using a more familiar setting. So the idea is basically the Dismembered Lord has gathered some of his more loyal subjects and offered them a chance to have something that they've always wanted. Each person has been given their own desired object or thing to encourage them to go on this adventure to gather what are called the Bleakshards. Essentially, the Bleakshard is a large crystal that has been found more bleakward north inside the Dragongrin setting. And when you all approach the Bleakshard itself, you come across what is referred to as the Crystal Tower. It's this huge black crystalline tower that rises to the sky. And there's always this roaring red storm around. But unlike the rest of the north, where it gets just more and more bleak and terrible, this area is almost unnaturally calm. You had to travel underneath the sphere below to get to a point where you would come up kind of in almost the eye of the storm. It's still pretty windy here, and you can still see the currents of magic inside the air. As you move your hands, you can see almost like a trail behind them, like you were inside a strobe light or something similar to that. Inside this game, we will be using a couple of variant rules, one which we took from Black Hat, which is going to be a usage die. Basically, when the players roll, they get a usage die that is similar to their weapon die. So if it's a long sword, it's going to be a D8, whether it's held in one hand or two for versatile weapons. And if they roll a 1 on that number, it will go down, meaning that sword has been degraded through combat. It'll work the same for armor. Basically, the way that we're going to do this is the players are going to roll for defense instead of me rolling to attack them. We're using the Unearthed Arcana variant rules. That was Unearthed Arcana article number 5 for the attacking and defending saving throws and contests and checks. And as those come up, I'll kind of briefly go over those with my players because they are new to all of us, and we'll walk through it a little bit slow for the first time. But the cool thing is, because we're using usage dies, if a player decides to deflect an incoming blow with his sword as a parry or put his shield in the way, his armor, his shield, and his weapon all have usage dies, and that will give him something to kind of work for. So with all that said, I mentioned that you guys have kind of broken out of the sphere below. There is a old man that is well fit and limber for his age. He's been guiding you through the sphere below. He turns to all of you and leaned on this walking stick that he's been using the whole time. I won't go any further. The Dismembered Lord only paid me to take you to the Crystal Tower. At the top, you'll meet the mad scientist. He'll explain everything.
We thank you, sir. And this is coming from a very small little forest gnome. You know that as a paladin. And his powers aren't the strongest thing. He's just this little rugged paladin in this like muscle curious equivalent to like light studded leather armor. And he carries just a standard short sword, a Xiphos, I believe they're called. And he's just a gruff, almost bitter man. You can't really tell his age, but you can tell that Lightfall wasn't nice to him. Like, his life seems as if maybe it's a little downtrodden. He's still trying to figure out what's going on. And he looks this gentleman in the eye. You'll be well received when you get back. Thank you for your service, sir.
Well, hopefully you do make it back. I don't know what they've been doing in that tower, but not many do. And to be honest, I never really cared. They've always sent criminals and scum that were probably going to die anyways. You lot seem different. Try not to die on the other side of whatever's up there.
Dragongrin's an average height, light brown hair. He's got these light gray robes that he dons with the hood over, and he's always got his staff walking along with him. And he has a genuine look of caring in his eyes when he asks, will you be safe on your journey back without us?
Yeah, I'll hole up in a cave that's not too far. The scientist knows that he'll light a beacon when you're coming back my direction, and I'll meet you here.
You'll pat him one more time on the back and say, "Thank you, friend."
Perfect. And Hector, would you like to describe your character?
Yeah, so as this is all going on, Hector's just kind of leaning on his spear, his bronze armor and helmet just kind of gleaming across from all the light from the storm and everything that's around. And he kind of just leans down and hoists his large round shield up, kind of resting it on his shoulder, kind of just grips his spear tightly as he just kind of nods resolutely at the whole journey they're about to go on.
And probably the most out of place for this group is the warrior Karag, the red-skinned orc.
Yes, Karag stands about 7 feet tall, carries this huge axe. It's well about the same size he is, about 7-something feet long, big, huge bladed axe. He doesn't say much. Maybe a grunt, maybe a snarl.
Appreciate it as always, huh, big guy?
Ah!
I'll take that as a yes.
The old man nods to all of you, and he begins walking off towards a series of caves that kind of litter the southern side of this canyon. The tower lies in front of you, probably about an hour's worth of walk away.
All right.
What do we see? Like, what is the environment? Lay the picture here for us, please.
This is Uldane. It's craggy and frosted over. The normal weather in Uldane is always chaotic because of the bleak storms. This is probably the most natural to what Uldane probably should be for the area. This tower seems to be blocking the bleak that's around it. It's a lot like if you were in Scotland or Ireland, kind of towards the first early bit of onset of snow. There's always kind of rocks peeking out, but there's enough that it sits there and it's cold still. And it's this very dry cold that bites through your clothing.
I live in New England. I got you.
Mm-hmm. It's like being the day or two after the nor'easter comes through.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the tower isn't getting any closer. Let's go, you mutton chops. We got a job to do. Not getting paid to stand here.
Scott, what was your character's name? Drock?
Yeah, Drock.
And you're a little gnome.
Yeah, a little forest gnome paladin.
I look
Random
at
liberal with that guy.
I look at everybody and say, I listen to the gnome.
I killed people for less. Let's go. Dismembered Lord picked us for a reason. Neither you're going to keep up or you're going to slow me down. And with these little legs, if you're slowing me down, we got a bigger problem.
As Drock kind of pushes forward, the comment he made to kind of urge you go forward, it kind of stirs his own memory. Drock, what has the Dismembered Lord offered you in exchange for your service?
Drock was there at Lightfall. He is a paladin. He worshipped the gods. And since Lightfall, he's felt his power waning. And I look at him as almost like that Jedi that gets caught in that bad situation where all the rest of the Jedi are gone. And you see that the one person standing is the Emperor still. And he must be more powerful than the Jedi. So he's kind of fallen into the dark side here. Like, the gods, the Dismembered Lord turned off the gods. What other being can do that but possibly another god? So he reveres the Dismembered Lord. He follows him, and the only thing that he had to tell him was, I need you to go here and do this. This is now, Dismembered Lord is almost his deity to him now. So just a promise of praise by his own God is good enough for him.
Perfect. As you get closer, the crystalline tower takes this almost unnatural form as the winds inside this bleak storm twist reality amongst you. And as you get closer, it's like the whole building is curved over your own head. It's imposing, and there's this almost ominous feeling that it's going to crash on you like a wave. Hector, the words of that forest gnome resonate with you. What is the Dismembered Lord offering you in return for your services?
So Hector is a very proud man and a very fierce warrior, a very fierce combatant. And all his training, all of his combat, all of his experience has kind of all been, in his mind, should be leading him to greater and greater things as far as combat goes. And he hasn't gotten the title that he deserves so far as a military member. In his mind, he deserves more, and he deserves more power and more say and more prowess. So he is being promised a higher spot on the totem pole, as it were, command over some small army where he can kind of exercise his ambition and his power.
I imagine that during the conversation, the Dismembered Lord listed some different countries that his reach hasn't quite made it to yet. One of the ones that he has mentioned was Erasios, where most of you are from. And in our world, a good staple to kind of represent that would be similar to the Greek and Roman islands. It's a temperate area that's quite lush, and they are known for their democracy, which has proven a little bit of a challenge for the Dismembered Lord, because if he wants to rule, he has to kind of play along with the system or completely crush it. So I feel like he's given you a chance to return to your homeland and prove yourself as a champion and a warrior for the Dismembered Lord.
Absolutely.
Benegrin, you are the one that finally pushes open the doors, and they're surprisingly light, almost as if they were made from ice. The cool touch begins refreshing your memory. What has the Dismembered Lord offered you?
Benengrin will approach the doors. He'll look up at them and he'll see the tower, wanting that feeling of it wanting to crush over top of him, and he'll push open the door with his staff. And as we were walking, he was taking his his long strides and reflecting on how the one thing he wants from the Dismembered Lord is information. He wants to know more about his father. His father, if this is okay, his father was in service to the Dismembered Lord as one of the few magic wielding counselors, if you will. And Beningrin always knew this, but his father kept those secrets of magic and what he did for the Dismembered Lord. He kept those a secret, and he wants to know. He wants to know the secrets of the magic his father knows, and he wants to know exactly what his father did for the Dismembered Lord. So while he's struggling to find his own way with the curative arts that he's learned, he desperately wants to know what he knows his father will never tell him.
Absolutely. As you approach, two guardians come alive, and almost instinctually, Hector extends his spear and snaps it into one of these ice guardians, and Kerrang whips around with a grace that is uncommon to an orc, using this guardian's body as a lever to be able to twist his body around, and immediately rips the head off of the second guardian. Both of them fall. Kerrang, as you feel dissatisfied since this victim has no blood for you to engorge yourself with, you recall the conversation with the Dismembered Lord, a man who maybe doesn't have as much sway over you as he does the others. What did the Dismembered Lord offer you to pique your interest?
Oh, blood is always a good thing. Greg is originally was born in a bleak storm, and the Dismembered Lord had found him as such. It's one of those rare oddities of being extracted from the bleak. So an opportunity to return back to a bleak storm, where he's actually probably one of the few that isn't affected dramatically by a bleak storm, is kind of a thrill. Plus, he's also a hunter, and so his instincts are to not only use his physical prowess, but to also hunt his prey.
So from there, the walk becomes much more natural. There are a few things that you realize and dodge around. A staircase collapsing, which Hector finds a way to be able to lever his spear to create basically a vault point for Bennigan to get himself up to work the lever and restore the staircase. After a few more puzzles and things like that that are meant to distract anybody who carelessly made their way to this tower somehow, you make it to the top. There's probably the most impressive machine you've ever seen in front of you. There's what appears to be almost a crucifix made of steel rising up from this black dais in the floor that is shaped like a pool of obsidian almost. Upon the cross are arms made of copper that have wires and cables coming out. Through the cables, you can see this red kind of crackling energy driving them, and they're manipulating and moving around this person that, because of your experiences with this Dismembered Lord, you know to be one of the vile and hated copper jackals. A third arm that is not connected to the cross hangs down from the ceiling and is extracting copper from this victim as the other arms are working the flesh around it. This is something new to all of you. The Dismembered Lord has been working on a way to extract copper, Titan copper, from these copper jackals, it seems. For some of you, it's exhilarating. This means that you could possibly do away with the final scourge that stands between the world peace that the Dismembered Lord offers and chaos. There's a young man, a half-elf, wearing a thin set of glasses. He pushes them up as he sees you and holds a clipboard. So, you are the new stock. Good. Follow me. And he kind of waves the clipboard to indicate that you should be following him. He walks over to a wall and grabs a lab coat, assuming that you're just behind him. He's just continuing along. He'll guide any who do follow to the back. Is everybody following him, or are you just ignoring this weirdo?
So Hector kind of, as he walks in, sees this jackal hanging from this thing. Almost can't help but kind of stare in this twisted admiration. He's very satisfied that this person is dead and that we have this tool to perhaps
he's
take
not
this
dead.
in.
He's very much alive.
He's very much alive. So he's looking up on this person racked with this pain, with this like mix of satisfaction and admiration. Like, he respects the jackals for what they are, the fierce warriors that they can be, but at the same time seeing these people who he has this also hatred for being an enemy and someone rivaling his power, he can't help but kind of stand for a moment and just look at this person and their suffering and just kind of nod with this sick satisfaction before kind of eventually coming to and remembering where he's at and why he's here and eventually following down the path.
Yeah, as soon as we walked into the room and we saw that Beningrin's first urge was to use some of his skills. He wants to use the things that he has taught himself, the things that he's learned. But he also knows that this is a good thing. This is good that we have this this copper jackal. Good. Be done with it. As much as I would like to test out all of the things I've learned, I guess we'll follow this kooky guy.
I feel almost like Drock would have like seen that he was eager to get in there to heal. Like you almost feel this like hand on your kneecap. We went through all that stupid back here just so that way we could watch this show. You ain't healing shit. Let's follow the man. Let's get this done. Once again, little legs, can't keep up, bigger problem. Let's go.
Yeah.
You ain't healing shit. Let's go.
Ben,
Craig,
one of the things that you're going to notice is the two arms that are on the side, they're actually this red energy that it's basically injecting into the victim is causing him to regenerate. They're doing everything in their power to keep him alive through the whole process. It seems that if he dies, the Titan copper is wasted.
and Kerrang is standing there, and he can smell blood in the air, and he completely oblivious to anybody else. He walks over to the machine, and he's like up in the face of the copper jackal, and he's like resisting the urge to like take this human or this copper jackal and just like shred him. It's like,
Craig, there's one thing that I feel like you can't stop yourself from doing. You take a finger and you jab it into an open rib wound, and you pull out just a little bit of blood and lick it from your finger. And there's something that makes you smile. It's this familiar taste that develops in your mouth when a bleak storm is near. It's quite possibly a side effect of the circumstances of your birth. And you can't help but laugh because what they're making here could be far worse than what you were made to become by Bleak Storm. This is engineered version of what you are, essentially.
so yeah, the two fingers, the blood, taste the iron. He could taste the copper. He's like, and it's almost tangible. You can feel the energy from the Bleak Storm. He's looking at the machine. He's like, he doesn't really understand much about it. And he's debating on whether or not to actually like mess with the machine, like grab the arms and stuff, and like put the probes into himself to see what comes of it. He's like, he's not really sure how the whole system works. He's just like, more blood.
Yeah, we're like walking through the doors, and like you're still over there, and we're just like, Craig, come on.
And Craig turns and looks, and you see his eyes go from a yellow to this red, and he's just like, it's very hard for Craig to like leave a scene where there's blood.
Once you make it into the other room, there is this huge shard of like a crystalline substance. It is black and red and swirling and crackling with energy, like it is a crystalline form of a bleak storm. But there's this pool inside the center that seems almost liquid-like. It's incredibly smooth, and you can see a dune on the other side. The man with the lab coat walks over and he sets down his clipboard, pushing up his glasses again. I am Dr. Vailden. You have been selected for various reasons, which I don't care, but if you want to live, I'd suggest you pay attention. We've gathered notes on everyone who has gone before you into these rifts. There are certain things that you can do to ensure that you will stay alive. First, when you arrive there, the world may seem very similar or drastically different than our own. I cannot say what exactly is there other than the sand that you can see now. Once you are there, you will find a Bleakshard. It may look something like this, or it may be something different. You'll have to look around. It's hard to say. I will not be able to communicate with you, but you'll have 3 days to accomplish your mission. If you do not stand where you started when you entered that world, then you won't be able to come back for the next 2 years. And even then, if you gain contact of that Bleakshard, I can't say where you'll end up if you try to come through the portal. It may be our own world or another. If you need to communicate with me, if you come back to the origin point during those 3 days, you can communicate with me only there. You must stand where you stood when you arrived. Anything else, I won't see you. From what I have gathered, this world seems to be similar in nature to Erasios, which explains why some of you have been selected. There's something different about it, though. 2 days ago, a man wearing green vestments, emblazoned with a snake coiled around a skull on his chest, looked at the portal through into my office. No one should be able to see what the portal looks like there. There will be no fracture in reality, no obvious magic. But this person could see through. Leads me to believe that this is going to be our best chance. So, because I don't have the A team here, you will have to do. If you do this for the Dismembered Lord, perhaps he can find other uses for you that would not involve certain death as for failure. Well, that's all I can really tell you. There's nothing more than to go through the portal. When you're ready, touch the stone and think of the other side. You'll find yourself there. Take note of where you arrive, because you must stand exactly in the same spot and hold your hand out to the same spot to get right back. I'll be able to guide you if you're a little off left or right, but if you don't get to at least standing in the right place, you won't be coming back.
As a quick side note, do we know what we're looking for in terms of what the Bleakshard looks like? Or should I ask?
No. Dr. Vailden doesn't seem to know. He said that it could be a large stone like this, or it could be something else. When you kind of inquire a little bit more about it, he tells you the Bleakshards, they'll take a form of something that is important in that world. We've seen one world that values jars, and it took the form of a large jar there. Of course, that team ended in failure, and all of them died. Perhaps it's related to the snake we saw.
As a quick side note, I have a big storm rolling in apparently, and so if I drop, then assume I fell through some dimensional portal, never to be seen again.
Okay. All right. So I assume you guys take a couple minutes to kind of mentally prepare yourselves. Is there any more questions for the doctor before you go through?
Well, the only thing Drock would be doing is looking through like the portal, taking count of what's on the other side. Bright sun, lots of sand, probably gonna be hot.
Yeah, and the interesting part is as you move around the large Bleakshard, each facet shows another world. You see another world that looks kind of similar, but you see a carriage that is not pulled by horses, that seems to be under its own power, kicking up dust behind it. Inside another shard, you see a world where the buildings seem to have enchantment on them. They blink and burn bright in the night. It seems that each facet of this shard is a gateway.
With plenty of water, I take it. Drock, ever the pragmatist, kind of look at everyone else, draws his short copper sword, pulls his shield off his back, and has almost like a Roman gladiator kind of ching, 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 ching. Let's go, asshats. We got death to deal. And he jumped like he's just going to go and like run up and touch the portal.
Perfect. All right. Does anybody have anything for the doctor before you go through? Because it is a moderately one-way trip.
Yeah, and Hector just kind of lets out just kind of this grunt of like, yeah, I know. If we're lagging behind you, there's a problem. Whatever. We've heard it before. As he like walks up to put his hand up on the stone.
Yeah, Dragongrin will start to walk towards it, and just before he puts his hand on it, he'll turn back and say, just how big was the group that went before us?
He grabs the clipboard and he begins paging through. Let's see, you'll be the third group to go through. The first we sent were 4, and he kind of runs his finger down the list looking for notes. I believe you call them Marrow, the soldiers. The second group, he turns the page. It seems to be similar to you, except for they were all members who were expected to be given death by crucifixion. They were offered a chance to live if they completed it. They lost communications. It's my belief that they just decided to stay where they arrived. All we saw through that portal was a woman run by naked. And he turns the page again. And then there's your group. You seem more loyal, according to the notes. So hopefully that won't happen again.
He's like, we look good. Like, we look good, right? Like we're good? Yeah.
Sure. And he closes the note, closes the clipboard again. Your allies are waiting. It takes 4 of you to activate it. If one of you dies, You will all be stuck there.
Okay, I'm feeling pretty good about this, guys.
Okay. As you touch the stone, the world kind of inverts on itself, at least your perception of it, and you find yourself with this searing hot blistering of just desert sand pelting you in the face. A moment later, the breeze drops off and you can see that you're on a couple of large dunes, and you hear back through the portal, almost completing the thought that he originally said, or you can always take a hostage and bring them back to our world. The idea that it takes 4 to activate this device.
4 go in, 4 come out.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter what 4, as long as it says 4.
Exactly. You look to yourselves, and while most of you were already clad in things that are very iconic to kind of a sword and sandals type setting, copper armor and bronze and things like that, you look, Hector, your armor is more embellished. You can see that there are markings denoting different victories that surround the trim of your shield now. Looking down at yourselves, you'll notice some different things. Ben, again, you're wearing actually a toga instead of your normal robes. That it's a traveling toga, so it's a little bit lighter, but it does have the colors to show that you would be recognized as a noble in a place like Erazios. You are wearing a color of crimson on your toga. Karag, you seem to be in a gladiatorial set of armor. Essentially, the bits and pieces that you had before have been replaced with almost these pieces that are just embellishing your normal over-the-top physique, not necessarily like actually good armor, but it does appear that you've been given more of a showmanship type look to you. And for Drak, it's a similar effect. Your armor is going to be embellished with some different things, but you'll notice that you actually have a metal laurel that is sitting upon your head. There's a small town just over the second dune that you can see a bit of smoke creeping up from. There's really nothing else around. The dunes here surround you for what looks like miles.
I'm just gonna take a quick glance around and like see if I see any like bones or other dead adventurers, things of that nature.
Looking around, you don't see anything that really stands out. As you look across the desert a little further, you do see the corpse of a quadrupedal beast. It looks like it's probably a horse or a camel, but from the distance that you're at, you can't quite tell.
Tell you, Drak probably right from the beginning would probably notice that his helmet was gone. Like he would have one of those like almost gladiator kind of helmets, and now it's turned into this laurel. He'd be like, my helmet, the fucking what? And the Dismembered Lord is this shit. How is this?
Drak, you look good. You look good. It looks good.
Fuck. And he just flings it. That thing's useless.
You
You're gonna
just
protect me, head.
looks over dryly and it's just like, yes, that will be no good for protection. Your helmet would have served much better. Almost just kind of the whole situation just going over his head.
You remember your initial conversations with the Dismembered Lord, that you would be taking the place of an alternate version of yourself inside this world. And that might explain why you look a little different here. I assume that all of you are heading towards the village, since that seems to be the only area to go. As you approach the village, this is a small stone village. The buildings themselves are made out of mud, bricks, and thatched roofs. Again, it has a very strong Erazios feel. The buildings are kind of square in nature with narrow windows. But when you get deeper into the city, you start to notice that there are villas, actual homes with courtyards that are walled and things like that. The thing that seems most interesting is, Benegrin, as you walk through town, the locals are kind of parting ways with you, not only because Karag probably scares the hell out of them. You seem to be a man of note. They are also looking to Drak in a similar manner as you go through town. It isn't until you guys arrive in the villas that a young boy runs up, and he looks to you and he says, Dominus, and he lowers his head.
Drak would kind of like look around like, me? By the big guy.
You're going to notice that when he is addressing Dominus, he's saying that to Benegrin. He says, he looks up to, or well, looks over to you because he's a human and he's bending over. He says, forgive me, Legatus. I did not mean to exclude you from my greeting.
Look, God, a stupid thing on my head. Is my character just straight up just a pussy? Jesus, who is this guy? He's storming around like stomping, kicking sand.
The obvious slave looks to Benegrin and he says, Dominus, I mean no disrespect to the Legatus. He is a great general. I was unaware that he would be arriving. Do you want me to go to the villa and prepare it for guests?
Yes. Where's the villa?
Dominus, do you not feel well? Should I call the medicae?
No, I'm good. We just all seem to be a little out of sorts right now, and if you could just, it's been a kind of a long journey, and we just want to, just point us in the direction. We're all a little tired.
Dominus, it is the weather. Unfortunately, the dry season has gone on far too long. I'm afraid that it is affecting everyone. He takes all of you and begins guiding you through the village, and because he's never seen Hector or Karag before, he starts pointing out different points in the village, a blacksmith, a tanner, and things like that. And as he takes you, you're going to notice that the city kind of elevates a little bit from where you came in, and you're moving into the more elevated area. As you make that threshold change in elevation, that's where the villas and stuff start. And it takes you to a large one, and this villa is kind of the traditional squared off kind of villa, but the back half opens up into what appears to be kind of just this big pit in the dunes around it. And he goes up to, the servant goes up to Karag and he says, champion, if you would, the other gladiators are interested to see your famed style. And he's going to begin taking you, if you let him, to a side door, because you're much bigger than him. He's not going to push that. But you notice that there are armed guards ready to sword point escort you to if need be.
So before he leaves the rest of them, Craig has this, he takes the little laurel leaf off of his finger and he puts it back on the gnome's head and pats his head. We're walking back in. Lead.
Once inside, the servant takes Benegrin, who's being addressed as Dominus, or the homeowner here, to the balcony, and the Drak, who's being addressed as Legatus, a general, to the balcony. Hector is also brought there, and you see that there are a line of 24 gladiators that are armed with wooden swords, and you hear the unshackling of a door as Karag enters, and all of the men stand at attention as the Doctori, the man that actually whips the gladiators, brings them to attention, and they all salute Benegrin as soon as he steps out onto the balcony. Dominus, and slam their fists to their chest.
Yeah, Beningrin, he's a little taken aback by it because he doesn't know what the heck is going on, but he also understands that this is a different place. Things are going on that he doesn't understand. So he is going to just be kind of playing the part and everything, and so he's just going to nod and go take a seat wherever is appropriate for him to sit. And on that note, like I said, the storm's rolling in. I got to run my dog out really quick, so I'll be right back.
The servants have set out chairs for all of you to be able to view from the balcony there. And he brings out a clay jar that is full of water, and he pours out a cup for each of you. And then he disappears into the house. The Doctore begins whipping the gladiators back into their training as you kind of look out into the crowd. And Karag, let's go ahead and do some testing of the defensive combat rules, because you're going to be paired up with a gladiator that fights with two short swords.
Okay.
You are originally kind of given a chance to show your style to the group, so they actually line up to the sides. That fourth wall that's missing, like I said, it leads out to kind of this sand dune area.
Right.
But you're going to notice that everybody is very cautious when they're on that side. It seems like there's probably something dangerous if you go that direction.
Like getting knocked off or something's going to be.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't seem like that's a good idea to get knocked off.
Yeah, and Craig's trying to. Well, shoot. Oh, there it is. All right, so yeah, Craig's
Craig, I think you're a more seasoned fighter than him, so we're gonna say that you're gonna take the initiative on this one.
Okay, and his Craig stands. He's holding the axe in two hands. He stands, and you can see him draw this deep breath in, as if he's smelling his enemy. And then he looks, and he like stares his opponent right in the face. He's like takes his and begins to press his attack. So he's like he does how much distance do we have between each other?
It's probably about 5 feet or so once the fight starts.
Okay. All right, just double checking.
Okay.
Okay.
So what you're going to do is go ahead and roll to attack. And this is just done like normal.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. All right. So yeah, straight. The 17.
Okay. With a 17, you are going to hit this man. He's essentially unarmored and carrying 2 wooden swords. They would have attempted to give you a wooden axe as a replacement, but I feel like you probably won't take it.
Yeah, don't need no firewood.
Okay.
So yeah, and I don't know whether I would be. Knowing that I if I need to pull my hits or whatnot, but anyway, this is another.
It was something that wasn't addressed, so
Okay.
you can take that how you want.
Right. Okay. So yeah.
They didn't seem to force you to give up your axe, though.
Right. So no, I need to. What else do I need to roll? I rolled my damage die.
You'll go ahead and do
then,
damage, and then make sure you use your usage die. So if it's a great axe, that's a D12. So you'll have a D12 usage die.
Right. So I rolled a 12 on my damage die plus the 3 for my my strength. So that's 15, and I rolled a 7 on the usage die. So
perfect. So that means that your weapon will not degrade in usage.
Okay.
Karag has entered a fight inside the gladiatorial arena, and it seems that they're looking to Karag as a champion to instruct these gladiators that you're quickly learning are your gladiators. Karag, your axe smashes down, and you can feel it bite into his wooden swords, which he's used to kind of both of them to scissor kind of block. And your axe just smashes through, and you feel one of the swords break underneath. The other one just slips open. The axe jams into his left shoulder. He starts to roll over, and you hear the Doctore's whip crack again as he gets a little too close to that side without a wall. And you hear the sound of bronze weapons clattering into the sand. The Doctore has tossed out 2 bronze swords for him. It is up to him to be able to recover those to prove himself worthy.
Right.
During the roll, he's too far away from a sword to do anything about it right now, but what he's going to do is attempt to slash at you and get himself in a position to grab one of those swords in the next round. And you can see him coming in. He swings kind of low towards your thigh and an upward slice as he's going by. If he was to hit, you can see that it's meant to kind of take your thigh and ribs, or between your thigh and ribs, to kind of slow you down a little bit. You're going to roll a defense check.
Okay.
And this one is going to be basically your armor class minus 10.
Okay. So I just roll the die and then add that
Correct.
to it, or how does that work? Okay. So 4 from my armor class and the 3 off the die roll. So that's
okay, so a total of 7. Unfortunately, how are you going to try and block this? Because you also do need to use your usage die for your weapon or armor.
Right. In this case, since he already dealt the first blow, he would actually step out of the way as he was coming in, so that when he went to slice up, he basically went right through the air.
So you're looking
at now,
well, your 7 is not going to be enough. He's still going to bite in. His weapon's still going to bite into you.
Okay, so then I'll roll for my.
How the DC works, just to explain it to you guys, it's 11 plus his base attack.
Okay.
Which his base attack is only a 3. So.
Okay. So let's see. I forgot what you said for the armor. What was it again? Medium was.
Medium is going to be a D8.
D8. Okay. So when they roll the D8, then as he takes it, he'll end up as he moves his leg back, but gets caught in the side as with this wooden sword coming up.
Okay.
And I got a 6. So
perfect. So your armor stays intact. The sword, it basically bites into an exposed part of your legging guards, but then it catches on the armor and it doesn't do too much damage. It ends up causing you about 5 points of damage, slashing as he moves kind of past you, but it's this circular motion. You can tell that whoever this man is, he was at least taught well. Because he doesn't expose his back to you, which is a common problem that you see on the battlefield, soldiers that just weren't trained properly. Hector, as another trained soldier, you're kind of looking down and seeing this young man. He shows promise, but he's too young. You know that Karag has the advantage. For Benegrin, the Dominus, you'll notice that you were given water, and your servant, before leaving, gave you a hand sign to show you 3 before he left. Though you're not entirely certain what that means.
So is the water in like a mug or a flask, or like?
It's in a wooden cup that's been lacquered.
Okay, I smell it. Make sure.
It smells like natural water. Like there's a hint of almost like a dirt smell to it, but it smells clean.
Okay. I guess I'll say thank you, and I'll drink it. and continue watching the sparring.
Okay. Another crack from the Doctore's whip as Karag is now closer towards that open side. Karag, as the whip cracks, you suddenly realize your positioning and you realize what this man is attempting to do. It's your chance to really turn the tables on him. What would you like to do for your attack phase?
So Karag's actually gonna like seriously shore up the distance. He's gonna like engage this other gladiator like chest to chest. So I'm taking a bonus action and I'm moving my full 30 feet so that I am like literally like just gonna plow him over.
Okay. Would you like to do a knockdown maneuver then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So contested checks are done using passives, essentially.
Okay.
So all we have to do is know what your passive version of athletics check would be, and we compare it to his passive version.
Okay, so passive. That's just
So basically whatever your modifier is plus 10.
Okay. So 6 plus 10. So mine's 16.
Okay. So you have a 3 for your modifier, so 13 is what your total is. His is 11, just to give you an idea. So as you come barreling in, do you want to describe how you actually knock him down?
Yeah, so he changes the stance with which he's holding the axe. So as he's coming in, it almost looks like he's using it as a lance. And instead of using the blades, he uses the upper half of it to actually like plow into just literally like pick this guy up off the ground.
And he kind of sails back and just bounces off a wall and then just hits the ground behind him. You know that it was a kind of attack that would wind him. It's not going to do any damage, but he's now prone for you. He's kind of scurries his way, staying prone, trying to get to that sword in the sand, but he's not going to make it there in time. You have a chance to be able to basically execute him because he's laid out in front of you. He's received a good deal of damage from your first attack.
Okay. So yeah, his and this is like probably the first time most of the others have seen this, but Craig, he's naturally red, but he goes much darker as you see the like his not only himself but his blade darkens. This is red, and it's kind of weird because he stops for just a moment. You can tell he's smelling the air. He can smell the blood off of this that he already hit this guy once with, and he brings this whole entire axe down and just buries it through the man, cuts him in half, and right into the dirt.
You feel that familiar feeling of the axe biting into bone and a man breaking underneath the sheer weight of your weapon. The blood spills out in front of you and absorbs into the sand, creating this kind of dark red mud where the warrior had fallen. Hold on a sec. I just realized my cat's trying to see. Hey.
See, I was just imagining Benninger, and he's in the middle of a swig of his water, and you change colors, and he just kind of stops, and his eyes get really big as you come down with your axe.
Yeah, you go from orange to deep red.
This wasn't even a fight. This was just a slaughter. They should have just given the guy no weapon at all.
Seriously.
Here, throw yourself on my axe.
Right,
Do it right here.
The cat has disappeared behind boxes in the garage. I just have to not open the garage now till I find her. All right.
So as the sand's pooling with this blood, Craig's like, you can see he's kind of distraught. He's like, and so he grabs the bottom half of the man and the top half of the man, and he just kind of like he jams it into his face, and he's like, you can see it's like this guy kind of hear this like difference between slurping and crunching and different things like that. And then he tosses the halves of the man back and picks up his axe again.
The other gladiators were kind of inspired at first, and then when Crag breaks down into this almost cannibalistic movement of grabbing the body and trying to suck blood from it, they seem really concerned now. The Doctore looks to you, Benigrin, and he grips his whip, almost waiting for your decision on what to do about this.
I'm like, it's fine. It's fine.
And
he does this all the time.
The Doctore nods his head, and he turns around, and with this huge flourish, he wheels the whip around and cracks it one more time. The other men grab their training weapons and begin sparring with each other. Karag, you have been grabbed by the actual house guard, which are wearing actual like full armor and everything, and they brought you up to the balcony unless you're going to contest that.
Like, and since he's like, he doesn't contest it. He actually stops for a moment, and he's like, some of what the scientist was saying about how the Bleakshards could be different things in the world. And so he stops for a moment, and he's like trying to like get a sense for what is and isn't in this world. You know, it's like, you know, he thought the combat was a little cheap-sided, but you know.
Crag has a unique background that allows him certain benefits that maybe those that weren't born in the Bleak don't necessarily have. You have almost this unnatural scent and taste that when Bleak energy is nearby, you can taste it or smell it. And you can smell something, but it's not close enough that you can actually taste it in the air. The house guards lead you to the balcony, and one of the guards turns to you and he says, Champion Karag, your fighting style is impressive. I am glad to see that we will add another champion to this household soon enough.
He just received a stare from Karag. He's like, "All right, you want to challenge me?"
The guard doesn't seem to be aggressive. He's like actually wholeheartedly glad that the house is receiving another strong competitor. Once they arrive, the guard announces your arrival. Dominus, Champion Crag has returned victorious. It seems the house will grow stronger.
I expected nothing less.
Of course, your eye has always been true. The two house guards bow respectfully to you, and then they leave you with your guests on the balcony. The servant will return again with more water, and this time he shows you a tube before he leaves.
Can I beckon him over before he leaves?
Yeah, I imagine it's almost this reaction where you just kind of grab him by his sleeve.
Yeah, I grab him and I pull him aside and I'm like, it's been one of those days, and I'm just. Could you remind me what the numbers mean again? It's just I'm tired.
Of course, Dominus. It is unseasonably hot, and we're running low on water. Because of your journey, I figured I'd pull that, but you have 2 jars left. After that, we'll have to go to wine.
I instruct him to switch to wine now and save the other jars of water for later.
Of course.
Very good.
What's the vial?
Water, you want some?
Is that what it is? I thought you said he brought him more water and a vial.
No, he was showing a 2. The first time he went around, he showed a 3.
Okay.
The servant was basically trying to tell Ben again how many jars of water were left.
I thought I heard a vial somewhere in there.
No, they're talking about me. Correct. Vile.
That fight was a farce. That guy didn't have a chance.
I'm
It's a shame. He,
did you see what color the Craig turned? That's crazy.
From the balcony, can we see the drop off then, I guess, in the gladiatorium?
Yeah, you can see the drop off, and in fact, you can see a lot better from the balcony. If you go to the far end that's closest to it, you can see that there's some sort of creature at the bottom of this pit, and the sands around it kind of swirl nearby.
All Star Wars-esque.
Yep.
We're gonna the so in the time that we're gonna be standing here on this balcony, Garag's gonna use one of his other special abilities here, and where'd it go? Here it is. So I can yeah, it's basically I get an advantage on the survival, wisdom, or intelligence checks in regards to phase, fiends, and undead. So I'm just going to try and attempt to figure out if this thing qualifies as any one of those 3.
Okay, yeah.
So let's see. All right.
So this is just treated as a normal skill roll. No change on it.
Right. Okay. So yeah, I think it's investigate. Yeah. All right. And I got a 13.
Okay, with a 13, you'll get some information. It's just not a lot. It's a creature that you can't find a good way to communicate it in common so that your fellows would understand, but in Orc, there's different creatures that are considered venerable. One of them is what is referred to as the thousand-toothed sand beetle. It's hard to say exactly what its name would be, but you understand it to be more this concept. It's this beetle that always hungers and lives in very drastic dune areas. You've heard of some of the tribes that dwell in Jahar, an area native to Dragongrin, keeping these things as pets and feeding their like enslaved other tribes to them.
Hey, when Craig gets that little bit of information, he's like he's looking down to see where the body went.
You'll see that there are a couple. You'll see a couple that have dragged it to the edge, and they threw off the bottom half, and they're about to toss the top. But it is a demon, just to be clear.
Right. And it's like, he has all the fun.
Okay.
So I'm like, yeah. So I'm not really sure. I'm like, there's this. Yeah, I guess it's a demon, and it likes to eat, and that's what's at the hole. He points to the hole way off to the side there.
Yeah, as the body's tossed in, a couple moments later, you'll see this giant, almost looks like a stag beetle attached to a centipede. Like the top is a stag beetle, but there's like a centipede body. Comes out and just snatches the pieces and just sprays blood everywhere and consumes. And it's almost comically more blood than should be in that creature. As you are sitting, trying to figure out really what next to do, because everything is so foreign and strange. Another servant comes up to you. This one appears to be a little bit more physically fit, possibly like he might have been a gladiator at one point. He is wearing a toga that is actually not as ornate, but similar to Benegrin's. And he says, Dominus, you've returned.
Yes.
Oh, Dominus, do not tell me the sun has baked your brain. I am your loyal servant. And he bows quite deeply. And then he looks to you because you have this look of, yes, you are, on your face. He goes, Veilden, I was purchased by you many years ago. Are you sure?
Right.
Are you sure you do not need the Medicaid? I was told that you were feeling unwell.
I think just some rest. Also, I had this urge to go and just kind of look at my treasury and to see what, just to remind myself of my vast riches. And I'll turn over to Hector and I'll give him a little wink.
He says, of course, Dominus. Allow me to take you to the vault. And your guests will take the scenic route. And he kind of smiles to himself like it means something. And
like Cogsworth from Beauty and the Beast, where he goes on and on, talk about
he talks about like the different features of the house. Your home has actually a rain collecting pool, and that's how you guys get your water, which is why it tastes a little bit different. There's large feasting halls, silk tapestries and things like that, but your house overall, due to the hot weather, seems to be a little worse for wear, just because it's mainly like a mud brick type house, but it's still cool inside there, so you're not as hot as you would be outside, but it's still pretty unbearable. He brings you all into this fine area of the house that has been meticulously well kept up with. The tiles have been replaced. The mortar that's between the tiles has been cleaned out and things like that. And there are marble busts of different champions from this household that are along this hallway, talking about who they were, what their fighting styles was, and what was their reign of championship. Benegrin, you'll also see a full marble statue of your father with a hand extended, and there is this golden orb that just floats a little bit above his hand that's giving off a little bit of light. As you get closer, you realize that it's basically a crystalline orb that has been enchanted to float and has a permanent light spell on it.
Now, is this Dominus's father or my actual father?
It would be Dominus's father, but
okay.
It looks like your father because he would be your parallel universes.
Okay. Would I be necessarily aware of that? I guess I would maybe assume that. Okay.
Dr. Veilden, before sending you through, told you that it would be a parallel universe, that things would be similar,
right.
but things would be a little different as well.
All right, I'm just going to try to hurry him along. I want to get to the the treasure.
Once you arrive at the vault, he opens up the first set of metal barred doors, and there are two armed house guards here. They look to you, Benegrin, as the Dominus, and one of them pulls out a key and unlocks the first lock. The other one unlocks the second one. And one guard is on each side. So if one was to fall, the other one could just fall back and wait because he has the key for the other lock.
Do I notice them looking at any of my friends like weirdly, like they don't know who they are? Or
no, they seem like they're used to this sort of thing. Like perhaps maybe you've brought guests down here to kind of show off your house's accolades before.
Okay.
So, and it especially helps that your house servant, who has called himself Veilden, matching the doctor's name from your world. As he walks around, you're going to notice something unique about him. His half-elf ears, which would normally be a little pointed, have been cut, kind of like clipping a dog's ears. And once he arrives at the gate, Velden talks about how the vault is entirely safe and everything. And once you go inside, there are weapons and armors of different champions inside here. There are heads that have been stuffed and taxidermied of beasts. Like you find a blink dog that has been stuffed and posed in this menacing like kind of form. You find another thing that looks like an illithid head that has been mounted and put on the wall. There's a lot of strange things and items here, but nothing really stands out as a crystalline object because that's what you were told to look out for. And nothing really smells or tastes of the bleak for Crag here. There's this overall tension that is in the air and somewhere nearby, but this is not the place.
I'm going to tell Hector and Drock to, well, first I'm going to kind of dismiss the guards and whatever, and let us be, let us have our privacy. And then if they go, I'm going to instruct Hector and Drock to kind of peruse the room and say, hey, you see something you like, it's yours. Apparently I own it.
Mm-hmm. It's mainly a lot of like items of value or actual hard coin, which you're able to find that the type of coin that has been used by the Dismembered Lord, they are coins that were once in circulation in Dragongrin that no longer were for a period that he has brought back, but minted with his own like phrases on there. It's a joke to say, can you give me a hand, is what beggars will ask for, and a hand is essentially 5 silver. It's a special coin. The coins that you see here, they're a little bit different. They're, instead of being round, they're square and triangular. There's some that are crescent shaped, but they all seem to be made of copper pieces and silver. And you can see that there are scales around. It looks like no matter what the shape is, the value of the coin is determined by the weight.
All right. I'm just going to cast Detect Magic and see if I can find anything in here. So I just kind of close my eyes and wave my hand over, and kind of like similar from when we were walking in, how you could see a trail of magic from your hands, from the atmosphere kind of around us. You kind of see the same thing happen, and I open my eyes and I take a look around.
As you look around, the statue in the other room obviously shows as being magic over there, because you can kind of see it through the doorway. But nothing in this room really gives out any strong magical effects. There's a couple of things like the blink dog that's stuffed that has like this very faint hint that it might have had magic before, but it's gone. It's only an echo of what it used to be.
All right, and you said the statue's in a different room?
Yes.
All right, I would tell Hector and
the safe.
I would tell Hector and Drock that there's a statue that we might want to take a look at that might possess some magical properties that we are maybe looking for.
Benegrin, as you go with them to that statue, that's the statue I mentioned of the man that appears to look much like your father.
With the golden orb.
Mm-hmm.
It's glowing. Yeah.
And as we approach the statue, Hector just kind of looks over at Benegrin, just kind of what this look like. He just eyes this floating orb and is like, you didn't need to wave your hands and say all that mumbo jumbo for me to tell that this was magic, but thank you. Dominus, he kind of says with a little bit of a snide tone of voice.
This keeps taking any longer, I might have to take a round out in that ring just to get some frustration out. What the fuck is going on? You walking me around this house, little legs again. This is taking a lot of energy.
Crag bends down and picks up the gnome by the back of his armor.
I'm gonna grab you by your ears and headbutt you until I rip your ears off if you don't let go of me.
6 feet up from the ground, he lets go.
Craig, I didn't realize you were with us.
Yes, he arrived at the after the combat.
Okay, great. I looked at everybody. I'm like, if you guys have any suggestions as to where we should start looking for this Bleakshard, I am totally open.
It's not in the house.
Call your servant back over here. Either that or I'm going to go find him and drag him back here.
The servant who seems to be kind of your main servant, the one who addressed himself as Vailden, comes forward when he hears call your servant come here. You're going to notice that he was not as far away as you probably would have liked him to be, because he's there in an instant. He says, Legatus, what can I do to please you?
I would kind of like motion him forward so that way he leans down, and as he leans down, I'm going to reach up and slap him. No one called you yet. Do you not listen?
Forgive me.
Actually, your problem is that you did listen. You weren't supposed to be around. He told you to leave. Now, which toe is coming off? Either that, or you can answer a question.
Legatus, I am at your disposal.
You're going to dispose of a foot? Is that what I heard?
You may ask the question.
Oh, okay. What's the most prized possession in the area?
Hold on a sec.
Yeah, no problem, man.
Like when you slapped him, I can see Benner gonna be like, "Oh shit!"
He's the servant, man.
Finally got the cat out, but she was chasing a lizard, which came in through the garage, apparently.
Good kitty.
Oh, it's good being in Texas. All right.
So he reaches up and kind of grabs him by his tunic, like brings him right close, like looking him in his face.
What the most valuable object is. He kind of hesitates and he says, in my Dominus's house, the most valuable object is the title of champion. The title that Champion Karag now wears.
Yeah, apparently we have that. Let's go with something else a little bit more important.
And he kind of, as you start to get onto him, he starts kind of rambling into his next sentence, and he says, as far as most tangibly valuable thing, he thinks, and he says, it would probably be the purse that comes with said championship, but not Karag's title. The championship here in our town. It is 1 week from now, but the purse is said to be 3 times our home's worth. If we were to get it, we could buy all the water that we need and supplies to fix this home.
And that's just straight cash. And at this, he's gonna kind of like pull him even closer, and he's not even gonna realize it, but all of a sudden he's gonna feel metal right up, because he's nice and short, and it's gonna be like tapping right on his inner thigh. I need something more physical. Something that this land values beyond anything. And he's tapping it on his inner thigh, probably actually hitting like his genitals at the same time. Like, you better think here.
He says, yes, that's is all coin, something valuable to the people, an emotional thing. And he kind of he thinks, and you can tell he's a man driven by profit, and so he's trying to think of anything that could make sense for what you're looking for. He says, forgive me, Legatus, the only thing I can think of would be the Oasis.
Is there something with a crystal shard of some sort? Maybe crystal made into something? Think hard, tap, tap, tap.
He immediately looks very pleased now that you've kind of given him an idea, and he says, no, not at the Oasis, but there is a place just outside the village. It's called, let me find it real quick here.
That tapping is intensifying.
That is cool. As the GM, I need to find what the name
no, just playing off of it, dude. Just playing off of it.
He goes, there's a place outside the village called the Maw of Black Sands. It's a forsaken place. There are, or at least there are rumored to be cultists on the grounds.
Thank you. And I hand him a gold coin and I say, now go get us some wine. And this time, wait until we actually call you to come over after you bring the wine.
I'll butt it and I'll be like, listen to the gnome.
You hand him, it would be a silver actually, but it's a heavier silver that you hand him. And he nods. He says, of course, I'll fetch the finest wine possible. And he immediately just flourishes with his, like, the Benegrin's toga has this very long sleeve showing that he's the Dominus. This man has like a kind of a shorter sleeve, but it hangs just a little bit, and he flourishes with it like he's the king of the hill over here, and immediately exits the place.
As he turns around and does that, I stick my foot out and I trip him. Just like that kick that you do to your friends when they're walking. It doesn't actually make them fall, but it makes them stumble a little bit.
When he stumbles, he immediately turns and he says, forgive me, Dominus. I seem to have lost my footing. He takes the full blame for it.
As well he should.
Drock just kind of turns and goes, that's how you get it done. Now, the Black Mob. That's where we need to go. Crystalline shit. Get stuff done. What is this looking around here? Are we on a tour?
We were.
And Hector just kind of looks over towards Benegrin. Yeah, he thinks someone over here might be getting a little too into his new stature. We should get going before he lets it get to his head.
Was that a height joke?
When you say stature, I go, ha!
Last man that made a height joke to me ended up a little shorter than me.
Oh, that must have been tough.
I start low.
Just because you two have your new fancy titles doesn't mean you're any stronger compared to me.
Karag lifts up this foot, does a sizing on the gnome.
All right, fuck nuts. Let's go. Get this wine, have a drink for successful, finally somebody doing something worth a damn here and getting some information. Have a drink, and then let's go get the job done. The Dismembered Lord isn't a patient man.
The gnome is right. Let's go. And I'll flurry my sleeve.
You pretty much have to, because it drags on the floor if you don't do it.
Awesome.
You guys finish up your drinks, and I imagine that you're in enough of a rush that you want to get going, and you're not going to wait for the slave Velden to come back. So you begin heading out of town using the directions that you find from the Doctori, who you find is immediately answering all of your questions and seems to be very honest about everything. He's a very straightforward, plain man. And so he points out where the Maw of Black Sand is, and he tells you that it as you exit the village, there's going to be kind of this rock that will seem to come out of the dunes. Once you arrive there, you'll see that there's an entrance on the largest flat side. Through there, you'll find a tomb, and that's where the cultists have been holed up. He's also going to look to you, Benegrin, and he says, I've noticed that the newest batch, aside from Karag, 3 of them have had the tattoo as well.
Oh, really? The tattoo, that's a problem. Yes, right?
The Doctori looks to you and he says, Dominus, I told you last time, the men that you've been purchasing, some of them have come with these tattoos of a skull that is being crushed by a snake. I believe they're connected with the cultists.
Well, That is bad. We should have a better screening process for when we're buying slaves. We should make sure that doesn't happen. Get on that.
Your will, my hands. And
Well,
he bows to you.
What can you tell us about this, Mark? Here's a prime example of being able to get information and you're shooing it away.
I'm like, I don't want to let him, like, I don't want to come off that I don't know anything.
The
He needs
doctorian
to think
We're not going to be here long enough to care, dude. Sorry, Chris.
The doctorian looks to you, and he kind of nods, almost understanding that you, as the legatus, a person that hasn't been here very often, are asking for all the information. It's not that he's viewing Bennigan as being unknowing. He's looking at it as technically you're Bennigan's superior, so he's going to spill all the beans at this point because he doesn't want to get crucified or thrown out to the sand beetle of doom over there. He goes on and tells you that the cults showed up about 2 months ago, and they believe that a once powerful king that had been vanquished has been sealed inside the maw of Black Sands, that they think that they have a ritual that could reincarnate him in his true form, that he will be a serpent god and rain death upon this city that has made itself on his corpse. The men with the snake tattoos, they seem to be initiates that were most likely turned away because they were given away into slavery, which means the cultists probably turned against them and then turned them over to slavers. Typically, cults don't do that to their own, but these are men that probably did something that's wrong with the pact. He'll mention that some of these men with these snake tattoos hiss at each other and whisper and kind of hissing type sounds, prayers at night facing towards the Black Sand Maw, or the Maw of Black Sand.
There we go. More information.
what he said.
Forgive me, I cannot provide anything further. Most of my time is spent with the gladiators, but when they express strange desires and religions, I feel it is set things that my Dominus must know.
I'm like, did you see Karag? Like, of all the strangest desires you've ever seen, have you ever seen somebody turn red and eat somebody else? If we want to talk about strange desires, worry about that guy. Get out of here.
You could see this look like he didn't want to bring that up in front of Karag.
Karag's over there. He's like,
but when you tell him to go, he bows and he leaves.
As he walks away, I'd be like, wait, just 1 second. Have those marks flayed off of the men. No individuality here. They're owned by this man here. They have no ties to anything else. Remove those marks.
He nods to you, but you can tell his eyes are lingering back to Benigrin to almost confirm it with him, because he's not really sure what to do at this point, because he is technically Benigrin's slave, but you outrank him as far as social structure goes. So he does have to listen to you ultimately, but he seems unsure at the moment. At the moment, unless you reassure him.
Well, yeah. When he looks at me, I'll say, "Do it."
Of course. See? And as you are leaving the mansion, you'll hear basically the cries of pain. The men that have these tattoos, they're having them removed by hot knife, I should say.
Music to my ears. Let's go.
Karag stops at the entryway, and he could smell the he can smell the flesh burning, and he's trying to get a hold of himself because he's like,
Okay. Along your journey out to this kind of stone structure that is outside the village, you pass through some different areas, and one of the things that catches your attention is the sound of shifting sand. You're the only ones out there inside kind of this dune area around here. But it's enough to where all of you kind of freeze for a moment as you hear the noise. What would you like to do?
I will have situated myself at this point. If it's just us, I will have situated myself kind of back, letting the stronger guys lead and me be behind. And I'm just waiting to see their reaction.
Okay. Looking around, you see a large stone kind of sticking out, but on the stone you can see a spear that has a bit of red cloth tied to its handle stuck into the ground.
This is at the Maw of Black Sand.
This is on the way to the Maw of Black Sand.
When we do get closer, I would use my divine sense. Just putting that out there.
Okay. But you're basically halfway right now, and you've heard shifting sands, and all kind of froze for just a moment.
Are there any small animals around?
There are not.
Can I make like a perception check and see if I can pinpoint where it's coming from and what it might be?
Yeah, you absolutely can.
Okay, what do I add to that? Like, what's that? Intelligence?
Perception is done with wisdom, so you're going to add the wisdom modifier.
Okay. That's an 8 plus 3 is an 11.
Okay. With an 11, you can feel the sand underneath you kind of tremble. You're not quite sure where it's coming from, but there's something moving underneath it.
Yeah, I would say, guys, there's something underneath us. We either need to hightail it out of here or get ready for something possibly popping up out of the ground here.
And Hector just kind of lifts his shield off from his shoulder where it's kind of been resting on, kind of flexing his arm out as he kind of hefts it out in front of him, his grip tightening a little bit more on his spear. So he just kind of begins kind of scanning around, just if anything is going to jump up, he wants to be ready for it.
Drock would probably be right beside of him, and he would end up pulling off his shield and that, and kind of like tapping his. You ready for this, you clerical healer?
Yeah, I take my staff off my. Well, actually, I was walking with it, so I've got it in my stance, ready to rock and roll.
Perfect.
It looks like we might have a fight coming up, and there's always wounds to be healed at that point.
Chris, you said there was a large stone with the spear sticking in it?
The spear is actually in the sand next to the stone, but it's about 15 feet away. If you were to run, you could make it to it.
So yeah, that's Karag's like he makes it. He dashes over there to the stone.
Perfect.
Just to see what kind of size the stone is.
Perfect. And for the rest of you, you can feel the sands shifting around your feet. And as you begin to kind of think, oh, shoot, we should get to the stone, there's this large creature that just rockets out of the sand and arcs over you. It's going to attempt to take a bite out of Hector as it kind of sails over the group and catching Hector on the outside. Hector, if you'd like to roll a defense check, your number to beat is going to be a 15.
I got a 13, so I do not beat it.
Okay. So what did you do to defend against this thing as it comes overhead?
So his first instinct would have immediately been this thing kind of comes up, arcing over him, trying to come down towards him. He tries to bring up his shield to get it between him and this thing, but he can't quite make it around enough as his shield just kind of clashes against the side of this thing coming towards him.
I think more what it is that your shield gets underneath and you just weren't ready for the impact of the weight of this creature. It was more than you were anticipating for, and your shield just kind of comes back and just bashes into you. And it's almost like it's wearing you down. It's not enough to where it would have been a killing blow or anything, but it's enough to kind of wear you down. It's going to be 8 points of damage. And the creature's going to hit the sand, and it immediately dives under like it's water. You got a pretty good look at it as it hit the sand. It looks like this large, almost too big of a shark.
Are there any tornadoes nearby?
There are not.
Okay, good. Do we roll initiative, or like what's going on with this guy?
Yeah, we are going to use passive initiatives.
Okay, what's that?
So your initiative score plus 10.
Okay. So I've got a 13.
Okay.
Karag is at a 10.
Okay. This creature is pretty dexterous, so it's going to go first. Once it dives into the sand at the other side, it immediately whips around and comes up from behind, and it begins to strike out at Ben again. This time, its mouth is open, and you can see these like circular rows of teeth as it goes in to bite at you. If you would like, go ahead and roll a defense against it.
So it's my armor class minus 10 plus what I roll, right?
Exactly.
All right, cool.
Yeah, defense against the dark arts.
It's a 7 plus 5 is a 12.
Okay. With a 12, the creature is actually going to penetrate. How are you defending?
Well, it would have been an attempt to dodge out of the way, so he likely would have getting a bite right out of my studded leather.
Yeah, and you got most of the way out of the way. As you turn, the creature's bite goes in, and it gets you kind of towards the back of your elbow right here, and it just lashes away, and just blood immediately pours out. It's going to be another 8 points of damage for you. And that's slashing, in case you have anything that modifies that.
Does studded leather modify that at all?
It does not.
Okay,
The reason
I
I
didn't think so.
mention it is because at this level, one of you might have heavy armor, and if you have heavy armor mastery, you get damage reduction.
And do I roll, do I roll for my studded leather?
For the for its breakdown, yes.
Okay, and
that was a D6 for light armor.
okay, a D6. Got it. 5.
Okay, it's going to hold up then. Only on a 1 does it go down.
Got it.
Okay. Next up is going to be a tie between Bennigan and Drock. So you guys can decide how you go, if you want to go at the same time or whatever.
Usually it goes by dexterity mod, which I guess his is probably 3 also, so that doesn't settle that.
Yeah, exactly. So you can decide what you want to do.
What's your raw stat? Your dexterity raw stat?
16.
Mine's 17.
You go.
All right. So I will see that Hector got a little hunk taken out of him. Now, this creature, is it underground? Is it completely invisible at this point? It just bit me.
It's popping out to attack, and after it lands its attack, it immediately dives back under.
Is there a chance after it bites me, since I'm next, before it goes under, that I can get a cantrip off before he goes and disappears?
Yeah, I can say you could.
Okay. So in that case, I would do a Sacred Flame on the guy, on the creature, and he's got to succeed a dexterity saving throw or take, in this case, 2d8 radiant damage.
Okay. So saving throws work a little different with these variant rules. Basically, what's going to happen is when a character forces an opponent to make a saving throw, the player instead makes a saving throw check. The bonus to the D20 roll is your saving throw DC -8. So
So
most
is it
likely
my
just your wisdom modifier.
is it my spell save DC, my
Yes.
spell casting ability, or spell attack modifier?
Spell save DC.
Is 14.
Okay.
You roll with a +6.
D20 plus
Your
6.
roll.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I roll a D20 plus 6. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay, got it. You've got to be fucking good. That's a 9.
Unfortunately, that's not going to be enough. You said you're using which spell?
It was Sacred Flame, my cantrip.
Okay. The flame hits the sand and it kind of sputters out because there's nothing to catch on fire once it hits, and you can see that the creature's gone. There's a furrow in the dirt as it kind of wheels around, and this will be your chance to kind of lash out before it disappears, Drak.
As this thing circles around, he kind of like just takes a couple steps, and I'm sure like one of them is probably like not really knelt down, but like at one knee, kind of like at the ready, almost like Roman centurions used to do with the sword and shield. Like they would be ready. Like there was just like kind of a stepping point of some sort. So this little gnome, he just kind of walk, like run, steps off of the leg and jumps up off of it, and he's going to come straight down with his sword. He has his shield out too, but coming straight down on top of where the sand is now turning around, trying to almost aim for when the leading point gets to where he's at.
I think with Hector's position, his shield would probably be the best place for you to launch. So you kind of go over and you fulcrum yourself off Hector's shield. And Hector, it's a practice maneuver. You know to push your shield forward and give him that extra height. And he sails across the air. Go ahead and roll your attack.
Looking at 21 to hit.
That definitely hits.
So that's a D6 to hit, and then I roll a D6 for the sword itself damage, like damage to the sword, correct?
Yeah, we're going to call it a durability die so that we don't keep kind of...
Okay, durability.
About it.
Oh, okay. I'm actually glad I rolled the one that I intended for the sword damage. The durability on it was a 3, and I rolled a 1 on the actual damage. So that only gets a 4 damage, but I'm going to use a spell slot to cast Thunderous Smite.
Okay.
And that's just a level 1 spell slot. The first hit that a melee weapon does, it does 2d6 extra thunder damage, and it has to make a strength saving throw of 14. So I roll for that, and I have 14 also, so it's d20 plus 6 also, correct?
Correct.
And he totally made the save, so he does not get thrown 10 feet. Rolled a 17. But he still does do the 2d6 extra damage of thunder damage. And you hear as this little man jumps off of this shield and he's flying up in the air, almost all slow-mo, you hear like thunder start like building in this sword. And when it hits the ground, it out from the spot.
You said you rolled a 17. He's actually going to fall prone to it because you're rolling effectively to beat his defense.
Okay.
That's
then I rolled a natural 17 plus 6.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought I was rolling his.
So as the sword hits, there's this loud crack of thunder, and the energy dissipates out the sand, and you can see this creature. It looks kind of like I said, like a big shark, almost just overly sized, and it flops around a couple times. It's completely stunned by this thunder damage. You can tell that it's actually the thunder that's doing it to him. He seems disorientated. Next up is going to be Jeff, if you'd like to go next.
Yeah, so Hector kind of pushes this gnome up, this thunderous blow, slamming down into the sand and onto this creature. And by the time that he's landed on the ground, Hector's already in a sprint towards this thing as he kind of moves towards it, jumping kind of to the side around Drak as he brings up his spear and just is going to try to thrust it down into this thing.
Okay, perfect. So As you bring your spear down, go ahead and roll the attack roll here.
Yeah, that is a 17.
That hits. Go ahead and do some damage.
Right, so that is 7 damage as he kind of sprints around to the side and just brings the spear up kind of underhand as he just thrusts it downward into this thing's body. And then he kind of immediately pulls it back out as he readies another strike. I'm going to make my second attack.
How much did you say was the first one?
7.
Okay.
And the second attack is going to be 9, so I'm guessing that misses.
Unfortunately, that does. The creature seems quite wounded. It's still stunned by the thunder effect. As you look around, Karag, you are given a unique opportunity. You can see that this creature is not alone because a second furrow begins going towards the group.
Yeah, and Garag, like, he bellows out, and he's trying to figure out where this. So he's standing on this rock. The party's behind him.
Yeah, basically when you ran to the rock, you ran ahead of the group, and then you turned to face them again. So technically, the two sand sharks are in between you guys. One of them is stunned and inside kind of an open like recess in the sand. The other one is moving in to attack the others.
All right. All right. Yeah. Let's do that then. We'll go with yeah. Karag, you see his anybody that would be watching his skin color changes again, and let's find out where I'm at here. Okay, so since I know where he's at, I'm gonna charge him. I'm gonna actually use a dash and move. Well, actually, wouldn't be a dash. I'm just gonna rush. I'm gonna try to intercept the one that's coming up.
Okay, perfect. Go ahead and roll an attack.
Okay, so let's see. Got that and that. And that's a 17 to hit.
That hits.
Okay, and so he is going to take. I hit him for 4 and then 4 cold damage.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's 4 for the physical and then 4 cold damage for the my right of the frozen. And
okay, perfect.
yeah. Yep.
You were able to power through his damage reduction essentially, and you stun it momentarily. It's not continuing to move for the next round. Essentially, you're going to know where it is. Basically, how these things work is once you hit them, they get stunned for a round and they can't continue moving until they are able to continue moving. However, thunder has a better effect, which you found out.
It's all good.
Next up is going to be both sharks, which are stunned. So rotate past them. That will go to Bennigan or Benigrin.
Muted. Yeah, I'm gonna go up to one of them and just twirl my staff up above my head and come down really hard with the end of it, and I will get a. Ooh, 19 plus 6 is a 25.
That definitely hits. Let's see some damage.
Yes, it's my 4 plus 3 is 7.
7, perfect. Your staff actually punches into the leathery skin that that this shark possesses, and as you kind of pull your staff back, you can see small baby snakes come out of the wound. The creature is dead, however.
Fantastic. But before I end my turn, as a bonus action, could I toss a healing word over to Hector?
You absolutely can.
Okay, so Hector, you're going to get D4 plus my spellcasting ability modifier, which is 3. So, oh, I got a 4. So you get 7 hit points back, Hector. So yeah, I come down with my staff, I explode it. I look up at Hector and I kind of give him some curative magics his way.
And next up is going to be Durak.
All right, so us, Hector, Bennigan, and myself were all around 1, or how are we split up here? Just to clarify.
Yes, the 3 of you are near one of them, but you saw Craig jump off of a rock and start lashing out at another one. The one that you are near is dead, and baby snakes are coming out of its wounds.
How far away is the other one from me?
About 5 feet away. It's not enough that it's going to make a difference for the turn.
Drak spins on his heels, seeing that this one's taken care of. Here in battle behind him, he turns around and runs over to Karag. And as he gets closer, and this thing is writhing on the ground, he's literally going to run and, like, knowing that sand doesn't have as much friction as, like, just solid ground, seeing that these guys are swimming through it, literally runs up and, like, power slides, almost like going into home base, and jams the sword, like, riding on the shield, so it's kind of like a sled almost, and just jams it in, and he's going to try to slide down this thing and just gully it.
Perfect. Let's get an attack roll.
And that's a natural 2.
Okay. Unfortunately, your power slide was a little faster than you were anticipating.
Slid right by him. Like, now I'm going down the hill. I'm going to hop and puff back up this thing, guys, for a round.
Yeah,
I'll call it at an end there, saying that I used all of my
slide
speed.
over the hill. We just see you, like, son of a, as you go down the hill.
Yeah, very much so. Swearing up a storm. Little fucking legs, god damn it, God.
Next up is going to be Hector.
Yeah, so he turns around seeing this gnome go sprinting by and just try to just do this sweet slide move and just go flying, and he just kind of all right, and he just runs straight up, just no frills, just spear up in the air, just going in for a thrust.
Okay.
It is a 23.
23 definitely hits.
All right, so that is going to be for 8 damage.
Perfect. That 8 damage will kill it, so if you wanted to narrate that, go ahead.
Yeah, so he sprints up, having seen his comrade go flying by. This thing kind of goes to try to, like, dive into the sand to get away, but he just slams its shield down onto one side of it, basically just pinning it to the ground as he brings his spear up and just comes down. It just basically goes, like, right through it, the front of its face, and down on its, like, back of its stomach as the spear just penetrates into the sand, just skewering this thing to the scorching ground.
Perfect. And just
I think Drak, as you're, like, kind of pulling your spear free, he comes waddling up over the hill. That was my kill. If he hadn't moved it on me, you saw me coming and you moved it, and he just kind of walks off.
And as he pulls his spear up out of this thing, just wrenching it from the ground, sand kind of flying up into the wind. Well, it was on my spear, so I think that makes him my kill.
And just like the last one, as you remove your weapon, small baby snakes come out of the wounds. It seems like as the snakes dissipate from the body kind of deflates, like it was wearing this snake skin as a costume almost, all these baby snakes. Which are going to try to get into the sand and stuff like that and get away from you. You could stomp out a few of them, but it's like trying to fight a swarm. It's not going to happen.
Can we pull? Karag tries to go after a couple of them.
You can snatch at least a couple of them.
So you see him. He's got his big hands. He's holding a couple of these snakes, looking at him, like, trying checking fangs and whatever else. It's like trying to figure out what's.
So I feel like because Karag was born an orc, he has a little bit more knowledge of survival and things like that. So I would like you to roll a survival check to kind of go over these snakes to look for any sort of unnatural things about them.
Okay.
I was also going to ask, like, how reminiscent is this snake to the snake that's supposedly crushing the skull in the images that we've seen, and the tattoo in that?
It looks kind of similar. I mean, the snakes that you see inside these tattoos, they're kind of a traditional black and white, almost like a brand style tattoo. So there's not a lot of detail to them. But the ones that are in the tattoos, they have fangs, but they're also like the body is crushing the skull, which makes no sense because usually snakes that constrict don't have fangs.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I rolled an 8, so.
Okay. Looking them over, they look like regular snakes, but there's one thing that catches your attention, and it's the stink that's coming off of these things. It's like impure bleak energy. Like bleak energy normally has a very distinct, almost sweet smell to you. It's something that you recognize, something that you almost associate with home.
Mm-hmm.
But these smell like they're wrong, like it's not the right mixture. And you squeeze one of them, and before you pop its little head, you notice his fangs are kind of this blackish red.
Would he be able to draw a connection between that and the apparatus from the lab?
That would be up to you.
Like, okay, because that would be his first instinct. He's like, I've only seen this one other place outside of being actually in the bleak.
Mm-hmm.
So he takes the he pulls up the head of his axe and he presses the head into onto the edge of the axe blade, trying to like squeeze out whatever's in these fangs.
Okay.
So you can look at it.
Unfortunately, with your survival check, it's not enough to actually milk the poison glands like you were intending. You have the wrong tool for the job. You end up smashing its head, and there's like the poison gland pops, and there's just poison all over the place. But the one thing that survives out of all of it is those two sets of fangs on this little baby snake. As you guys look at them, you notice that they are stone. And with that, I'm going to take our 5-minute break here, and we'll come back in just a little bit. But before we do that, I'd like to introduce our players who've been playing along here so far today. Let's go down the line. I'll announce your character name, and then you can go ahead and announce who you are. If you want to pitch anything that you would do in your non-gaming time or for gaming, just not on my channel, let us know. We'll start with Hector.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jeff. I run the very new YouTube channel in Counterbalance. I have only 2 videos up on there right now, but check that out if you're interested. I'm sure there's going to be much more to come. I have some plans to make that into something cool. So, yeah.
Perfect.
It's been fun so far, so cool.
Perfect. Benegrin.
I'm muted, first of all. There we go. I'm Nate. I made Digital Character Sheet. It's a app, or program rather. And I run games. I DM a lot. This is the first time I've played in probably about a year. I don't play very often. I usually run. So the last game I DM'd, I actually did manage to screen capture, and that's up on YouTube right now. I think my channel name is Mr. Nate RPG, and it's just a one-shot sci-fi adventure. So it was pretty fun. So that's me.
Perfect. And Craig.
All right, I'm Nathan, and I'm playing Craig, and yeah, you can find me in the forums for Absolute Tabletop, and I'm also involved in several ongoing campaigns, most prominently a Star Wars Fantasy Flight Star Wars game. yeah, I got a few projects in the works. I haven't probably be running something later on this year. So
Excellent. And Drock.
Hello, everyone. I'm Scott, and not only am I playing with Wilhelm today in this game here, but I've also played with both Dottie and Nate, the second Nate, in a couple other games. Most prominently, mainly is the Dragongrin Chronicles with DM Drake over at RPG Construct. We have a campaign going in that. We have our 7th game coming up next week. I believe the 9th is our 7th game for that. Also have Monster Hunters that I play with Chris in over at DM Allen's Check for Traps YouTube, and that's an awesome game with Chris and Marquise. And why is it I can never remember the other person in that? Myself, you, Marquise.
Now I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, I can never remember all the time. Alan's there too. We'll remember it. But great
We'll figure it out,
series.
we'll be on break and then come back and get to it.
It's an absolute great series. Definitely check that one out as well. And also DM Ty over at On a Roll. He's another great DM. I've been playing with him ever since I started about a year and a half ago. He got me in my first campaign, and it's just been rolling ever since. And of course, absolute tabletop. You can't go wrong. And Tabletop Terrors, all those guys over there. They set up this entire world Dragongrin for us to frolic in, and it's a good time.
Yeah, and one of the things that I didn't make abundantly clear is tonight's game is actually a playtest of the Adventure Creation Kit, which I've modified to be, instead of frozen Viking-like territory, it's a drought season and kind of a sword and sandal type Roman coast type adventure. So a lot of fun stuff. We're also playtesting some of the Unearthed Arcana stuff and a couple of variant rule type stuff that we homebrewed from taking from Black Hack. So if you want to see more of this or have questions about this, throw it inside the comments for the actual video. I know I've got the chat going, but if you view this later, because I know most of my views are actually after the game broadcast, throw it in there and I'll tell you how we did it if you have any questions, just to kind of keep things flowing. That way we can address those later on. With that said, it's 10:20 my time. When we come back, I want to say like a 3-minute break. Are you guys cool with making it a little short? Okay, so 10:23, we will be back.
Can't believe I forgot, because he's also in my Dragongrin Chronicles game now. Chad Nick is our 4th player Monster Hunters. The good old Chad Nick. How can you forget Chad Nick? You know, like, come on. I should be ashamed of myself. Sorry about that, bro.
right, everybody else should be getting back just shortly, but if you want to play in any adventures like this one, we do recommend going to Absolute Tabletop. There are a bunch of games that actually cropped up in the last couple days here to fill out our schedules, because I think everybody had most of their schedules full, and we finally got to that point where everybody's starting to get vacancies open again, so we're getting like the next month or two full of games right now. And if anybody wants to check out the games that Scott had mentioned that we played in together, I usually thumbs up videos that I have played in. So if you go to my liked videos, they should be inside there, and you can see some of those different ones. I know the Dragongrin Monster Hunter game, I've thumbs up those ones, so those are definitely inside there, and that's a really fun series where I get to play a drunk knight who is lost from his home and probably lost his wife.
Yeah, Chris, will in our campaign we will shortly be re-encountering Dracula in the encampment, and if unfortunately if times don't line up, then he'll either be dead or like unconscious on a table somewhere. I don't know yet. But if you get a chance to join us on probably a Friday night, then you'll be able to probably have one last hurrah with him.
I was going to say I'd have to check with my wife, but maybe this Friday, because I don't have any shows this Friday. I'm an event coordinator, so unfortunately my weekend schedule, which is usually great for gaming for everybody else, is not super great.
There's also a cat right behind your head.
Yeah, she wants attention. It's about that time of night. She'll climb down here and fall asleep in my lap in a minute.
And by the way, our fourth is the Constable Chad Nick, man.
I heard you say it, and I was like, it's Chad. Yep.
Yeah, like I pulled it up, and I was like, oh my god, like I really I feel ashamed. It's Chad. How can you forget Chad?
So, have you any of you guys ever played a game or know of a game called Dark Age Camelot?
Yes, I
Heard of it,
but I
never played it.
Never heard of it.
Basically, I played that so much. I cut my teeth on didn't cut my teeth on them, but the first MMO I played was Asheron's Call, and then I eventually graduated to Dark Age Camelot. Well, there's a class on the Albion side called a Friar, and they're essentially these. It's a class that can heal, and it can do some buffs and stuff like that, but they have this whole line of specialization that you can take with fighting with your staff, and so that's kind of. I had a friar named Beningrin on an Albion server, and so that's how I modeled my guy. Was after that the friar class. So think of him as kind of a friar.
That's cool though. That's one of the things with 5th edition that gets a lot of people is the way the monk is built. They gave it a lot of like Asian influences, which is cool, but it feels out of place compared to the rest of the classes. And that's kind of what I was talking to somebody about. I was like, if you kind of ignore the ability names, but just like reflavor the whole thing, it makes a really good like friar, like a combat staff wielder. Which if you watch the Provokers, that's pretty much how Sander is being built. Is he's a quarterstaff wielding monk.
I think people just get hung up on the labels.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean
Like, that could be any type of like martial fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the great things about Fifth is that it's so easy to just be like, no, it's not. We're just going to take all of that flavor and just take it away, and I'm just going to put in whatever I want to, and it's like super easy to just change everything up like that, make it fit.
So it looks like we've got everybody back. I'm going to go ahead and jump into it because I do want to finish a little bit early just so we can talk about some of these very variable rules and see how we liked how they played out, and get general opinions on them. All right, perfect. So essentially the scene will end with, I'm going to say it's probably Karag holding out these two like black stone teeth to the rest of you, and you're all looking at it. And the camera kind of does that close zoom in, and then it opens back up, and we see the Maw of Black Sands open in front of you. There are these stilted platforms that are a little bit separated between each other. kind of precarious. Karag, looking at them, you're not sure that they're going to hold your weight. But to be fair, they probably won't even hold Binigrin's. These different stands are out a little bit further from each other. And Scott, you are using your divine sense. How does that look when you activate divine sense? What kind of senses come to you, or how do you feel what's around you?
He would kind of kneel down, and you see him kind of pick up some sand, and with his eyes closed, he kind of throws it into the air, just so that he could almost hear the sand reacting around him. You could feel the trembles through the ground, and I'm sure you know what divine sense does. Locate any like powerful good or evil or desecrated or consecrated objects or places in within 60 feet.
Doesn't that also give you demons, undead, and something else?
Celestials, fiend, and undead.
Celestials, fiend, and undead. Okay. You can feel the land itself has been desecrated, and it's recent. The sand resonates, and you can hear what almost sounds like a scratching sound. It's the sound that you've come to recognize as undead being in the area. And Karag, through his senses, seems to indicate the same thing. The two of you look at each other kind of knowingly that you're probably going to be into fighting more undead as you go along.
Well, if this tells me anything, we got more undead on the way. Well, not that we had any more, but we're gonna have some more. There seems to be plenty of them. The place reeks of it. I'm sure Crag will vouch for the smell of things.
Yes. Definitely dead.
So,
not like the dead.
One of the things the variant rules does not address is skill challenges. So we're going to do skills for this the same way that I've been doing like survival checks. You guys are just going to roll a regular skill. But essentially the platform's laid out in front of you. It's a skill challenge that you can approach in any way that you want. If you have spells to get around it and to basically get the doorway to get in is about 30 feet off the ground. And the easy way that it seems the cultists have been going is they've been jumping from platform to platform. But if you guys want to be creative and come up with something different, that's up to you.
Drock kind of like points up to the big man. Come here. And as he leans down, he grabs onto the scruff of like whatever like wear gear that he has like on his shoulders. He grabs it and like kind of swings up on his back. Now go.
Karag is like,
don't give me that look. Look at my legs. Come on, man. I can't even like. If I tried to jump that gap, I'm not making it anywhere.
So Karag puts his axe out, like extends it out. He's like, walk across. Unless you want me to throw you, because I'm not climbing. This ain't gonna work for me.
I didn't say climb. I said jump. Go. It's like carrying a backpack. I'm probably lighter than your backpack.
I'm like, Karag takes the axe and he taps these structures. He's like, these things are going to collapse under my weight. I'm not going to make any jumps.
Yeah, looking at them, they're pretty rickety. It seems like some of them would barely support even just your weight alone.
So I got a question. So they're various heights on the platforms, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I pull the other two together, and I get near where the platform is with the door, and I put the two of them on top of my shoulders, and then I'm like, I toss the gnome up, like straight up in the air, so they're like, I'm basically the base of this pyramid.
Okay, so you're looking to kind of get the group stacked up and try to avoid the platforms altogether.
Yeah, I figure with my height, I'm at 7, and they're
Yeah, I mean the
between
door's
5
about
and
30 feet off the ground, so you'd probably be able to get at least the gnome and one other person through the doorway, and then be
Right.
able to pull up the third person. It's you on the bottom that they're gonna have issues with.
As you're
Is
like
there
sizing up the situation, I'll be like, anybody got any rope?
There's plenty of rope.
We got
I
rope.
got rope.
Just
Well, let's
get me
get-
up there. I'll tie it off.
There we go.
The is there anything else to this structure getting up to that 30 feet? I mean, is there anything like that would look like a ladder or something I might be able to improvise as a ladder? Because Karag's all for climbing. He can climb his way just about anything. So
No, I mean you could try and there's a platform that's fairly close to the doorway. You could try and climb that platform and hopefully make it to the top before it loses balance or collapses underneath your weight. But there's not anything that looks trustworthy underneath.
I'm like, yeah. So yeah, I
mean,
I
the
have to
other
know.
thing you could do is when they toss down the rope and they've got it secured on something inside there, you could basically pull yourself up using the rope. That would definitely be more reliable than these platforms.
Right.
Throw the gnome.
I'm gonna straighten the gnome out a little bit, use him as a lawn dart, just chuck him up there.
Well, you guys could definitely do the pyramid idea.
So, I mean, I can support everybody's weight, so that's not a problem.
Yeah.
So I'd say either other way, my character gets up there and I tie off said rope.
Okay.
Unless
so
you want us
Karag
to
is-
act rope or something or anything like that.
No, there's not like a use rope in 5th edition.
No, but we could topple over this beautiful pyramid we're making.
That is true.
What's your carrying capacity, Karag?
My carrying capacity, 500 something plus.
Wow.
Not usually something that you figure out in 5e.
I was gonna say
No,
orcs have like a racial feature that doubles it or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, so my carry weight alone is 500, and my lift and drag weight is twice that. So
Yeah.
yeah, so as far as individuals go, I shouldn't have a problem.
Yeah, you're a beast.
Yeah. You can definitely do it. You're getting up there is not going to be the problem. Like I said, the big problem where the skill challenge is going to come in is pulling Karag up. He's probably going to have to climb, and you guys are probably going to have to pull because his weight on the rope is going to be a lot. He's going to have to move quick enough so that the rope doesn't snap, but it is still, like I said, way more reliable than platforms.
Okay, so I guess the question is there a space sufficient where I might be able to like run and jump between the structures on the way up?
That's exactly how the cultists have been getting in here. They jump from platform to platform. I'm telling you right now, your weight is probably going to be so much that when you jump from one platform to the second one that you hit, it's going to collapse underneath you.
I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about the actual like sides of the structure itself. Like
no, the rock face is cliff or is sheer. So I mean, you could stick out your legs and kind of walk along, which would help. But there's not anything you could really do beyond anything that you could do to help your athletics check, I should say.
Right. Okay. Just one last thing. Let me double check to see if I got any other.
From the top, he
because you have a rope, you're already in the best situation that you could be in. So instead of rolling with disadvantage, you're rolling just standard rolls.
Right. Okay.
Could he just try to climb the cliff face with the rope tied off of him, like as we'll catch him if he falls?
Yes, he's. Well,
That's
no,
not what it's coming down to.
So he won't be able to do that.
Okay. I was going to say we let him drop anyways.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I'm just gonna be making a standard roll. We're doing.
Okay.
If I know you're going to be climbing or anything like that, and it's going to be something difficult, before I go up, I'll give you a guidance cantrip. You'll be able to add a D4 to your ability check.
Okay.
Perfect. I'll need those at the top to give me an athletics check to make sure that the rope gets held together. You found a rock to tie it to, but you guys are still going to hold the rope yourselves just to try and give it some extra support because who knows if that rock is going to be enough.
So athletics is a strength is a strength skill. Do I add my strength modifier and an athletics proficiency or not?
If
Only
you
if
are
you're
proficient
proficient.
in that skill, yes.
Otherwise, no.
Otherwise, it's just your strength.
Yeah, if athletics
Okay.
is one of the skills that you chose, then you'll add proficiency. Otherwise, it's just strength.
Okay,
Exactly.
so it is still just a strength one. Okay.
Correct.
So,
Oh, good lord. 6.
How
Okay.
how did the gnome with the stubby little legs hold on better than you?
You got a lower center of
Ah.
gravity.
gravity. That.
So between Hector and Drak, you are able to maintain positive control of the rope so that it doesn't slip. And I need from Kerrang hit your athletics to climb.
All right.
Add that D4.
Yeah, and we'll be doing that. in just a minute. We gotta
Did
find
you
my
say that he
D4.
had advantage? He had advantage on the check, Chris?
No, normally
No.
He doesn't have disadvantage.
normally he would have disadvantage, but you guys are effectively helping him, so he's at a normal roll.
All right, so we are at an 18 total.
Perfect. You shimmy up the rope, and it's going to take another round of checks before you get up there. So one for the guys holding the ropes, please.
Ooh, nat 20. Yeah, 22 then. I wrap it around my arm and then I.
So Benegrin realizes,
41.
oh, you guys
Jeff.
don't, right?
41.
Wow. Hmm.
Okay. One
Yeah,
from
you outdid the ogre there.
I'm gonna have to call you a liar on that one, Jeff.
What are you talking about, man? That's totally cool.
I was gonna say,
Legit.
21. No, yeah, it's
this was
21. I
like
mistyped.
3-5, and you sank feats in it, or Pathfinder, sure. All right, and one
Anyway.
from Craig.
I rolled a nat 20,
Perfect.
and then I hit for that's a natural 20 plus 10. That's 30. So
Okay, so you shimmy up over the ledge, and once you make it into kind of this alcove, there's a finely carved door that it's made of this kind of sandstone that's around this area, but it seems like somebody has taken a knife and they just carved in these serpentine figures all over both of the doors, kind of defacing them, but at the same time remodeling them into what they want it to be, this kind of snake visage. Where the handles are, it looks like this large coiled snake that has its mouth open, and the two handle points are the fangs for these double doors.
Any small animals around?
No.
Do I get a sense, without casting detect magic or anything, do I get a sense of anything arcane going on?
That would be an Arcana check.
All right. Actually, I am awful at that. I got a -1 with no proficiency. So let's see what I get.
Okay.
A 20. Yes. Another 20.
So with that, you kind of look around, and the thing that kind of draws your attention is this door. And there's something that you can't quite put your finger on, but there's something about this door. And it could be magic. You would need to confirm it with a detect magic, because technically to determine if an item's magic, it's a DC 20. Because you have a -1, you hit a 19. So I'm giving you pretty close.
I'll give the general word of warning to the guys that, if before we open this, we might want to check for magical traps or regular traps or anything of that nature. The cultists might know a way to get in that would prevent other people from getting in.
I am so tempted to just grab the door and open it, considering that I have advantage on intelligent wisdom and charisma saving throws against magic. Like, I got this, boys, and just rip it open. But I'll let one of you guys look it over first. This is not his field of expertise.
Hector hefts his shield up in front of him, kind of up on the side, kind of blocking half of his body as he just reaches straight for the handle.
Okay.
Just kind of bringing his shield up to defend from if there's any sort of explosion or physical traps. But
I think
he just grabs the handle
Drock would
straight
have
up.
stopped him on that one. He would have been like, whoa. I'm a little better suited for this. If you're just going to grab the door, I'll grab the door.
Okay.
So you kind of like push out of the way and then go in for it.
Perfect. I need a Constitution saving throw against magic poison.
Constitution. You changed it up on me, didn't you?
I did not.
Yeah.
Because as you go to grab the fangs, your fingertips touch the points, and you can feel this hot burning sensation of the poison attempting to enter and cause
Well,
problems.
since I do not have advantage on that, I'm looking at a 3.
Okay.
Well, actually, Constitution, a 5 total.
5 total is still not enough, unfortunately. You're going to receive 8 points of poison damage, and you'll receive the poison condition. However, every round you get a chance to save against it for a minute. So you can rest here essentially and not push yourself further for just a minute to let that pass. Or if you push yourself, you're going to suffer more effects of the poison. You can tell it's a fairly potent poison, but it's a quick burning one.
With my medicine, I do have a focus in medicine. Am I able to help with the poison at all?
You absolutely can.
Okay, so I'm assuming it's going to be a roll. Now,
It is.
I think if I understand this right, then I've got a proficiency in medicine and a wisdom modifier of 3. With a proficiency bonus of 3, that's going to be a d20 plus 6.
Correct.
Okay. It's a 7, 13.
Perfect. With a 13, you will beat the DC of the venom, and you probably have something inside your healer's kit that can extract it. Probably like a bladder with a nozzle on it, and you just kind of stick it to the wound and suck out the poison.
Yeah, I go over to the gnome and I'm like, just hold still, little bastard.
This fucking hurts. Are you kidding me? I totally should have let that moron fucking touch it instead. All right, well, just give me a second here. And next time you open the fucking door, damn it, try to help out.
He just kind of gives you this look like, I tried to go, but
Just shut up, just leave it alone.
Okay. The doors open freely once you're in, and down past the doors is this extending corridor in front of you. There are a couple of wall sconces that are unlit. The corridor itself has a bunch of little cobblestones inside of it, and the walls are smooth. On the other end, you can see another door that looks similar, but looks more complete. The visage on the other side actually looks like a snake.
Drock stops, points at it, and goes, "That one's yours."
oh, so now you want me to go?
Yeah, I do.
If you insist.
So before you head up to the snake, I'm going to say, since we appear to be dealing with a lot of acid or poison or things of that nature, I'm going to cast a protection from energy spell on you, and I'm going to label it with acid. So I'll give you a protection so you'll get resistance to any acid damage for. Now, is it concentration or up to an hour? Or if I lose my concentration within an hour, then the spell's gone?
So
The second one.
Okay.
yeah, you concentrate on it, which you actually actively have to do. If you take damage, there's a chance that you could lose the spell, or you can decide that you want to drop that spell to concentrate on something different.
Okay. Then I'm going to concentrate on that.
And to clarify, there is a difference between acid and poison.
Yes.
Yes. That I knew.
Okay.
Just make sure we get that. There we go. So
All of
acid.
you are going towards the other door. Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah, Hector kind of keeping his shield kind of at his side. He's going to lead the charge on this one and go towards the second door.
I'd be close to the back.
Karag is trying to figure out if he can fit.
You definitely can.
Okay, good.
The hallways are actually quite tall. It's about 10 feet of clearance. So it's enough room for you to fit. They're about 10 feet wide as well.
Mm-hmm.
As you make it through the first set of double doors, the ones that poisoned you, they immediately close behind you, and you can see these arcane runes form a circle on the door.
Shit.
Well, if this door blows up in your face with all kinds of paralysis and blind and whatnot, I can heal you of that at least. But have at it, man. Trust me, it tingles a little bit. You're high for like a couple of minutes. It's a good time.
Can't wait.
So, our
the corridor you're in is now pitch black, by the way. That should be mentioned.
Who here doesn't have dark vision?
I don't.
That would be me.
I'll light up my staff. I'll use light cantrip on my staff and glow the end of it so we can see very easily in this hallway.
Okay. Once you cast the light cantrip, you can see a faded mural on both sides of the walls. It appears to be a king that is ruling over a bunch of subjects upon possibly maybe a pyramid or some sort of risen city. And there are a bunch of slaves that are laid out in front of him in one of these murals. And if you follow the pattern, it looks like he's conquering multiple nations. And as you get to the other side to look at what's there, you see him kind of reshape himself into what appears to be a giant serpent and strike down other nations that apparently did not submit themselves to his will.
Let's see. I am proficient in history. Would anything from our own history by chance ring a bell with this? And a natural 19 to start. So looking at 23.
Yeah, the weird part is the way that these murals are done. It almost depicts the story of how the Dismembered Lord rose up. It's really similar to the legends and the stories, but it seems like this version of him quite possibly started in Razios and moved out instead of starting in Grin and Ennis. And it appears that this version was more wrathful than the Dismembered Lord, because all of you are more or less loyal subjects of his. You understand that the Dismembered Lord is seeking a utopic society, that the law and the evil actions he does is for a greater future. At least that's what you believe. This doesn't seem like it was for a greater future. This was tyranny in its ultimate definition, is what you're seeing.
Brutal.
It seems like this world has its conquerors and it's conquered as well.
Oh, that's kind of an understatement. Doesn't every world, every city, every town, every history, every time frame?
Fair enough.
We just happen to get one that's looking to look out for for all of us, make everything better. This is just carnage. This chaos. There's no order to this.
Dragongrin will say nothing good can come from the reign of a tyrant.
Yeah, but back in our own world, there's many that call our eternal Lord a tyrant. Just like the man that they were sucking dry when we first came in, taking his copper. He would call him a tyrant.
Were they to see these murals and understand the way things could have been or could be, I think they would see things a bit differently, don't you?
Yes, tyrant is just a word the weak use to slander the strong.
Well, as he takes his sword and wraps it against his shield lightly. It's a good thing that we have ways of changing their mind. Now, can you open the fucking door?
Hector just nods and kind of cautiously seeing what happened on the previous door, but then kind of briskly still moves towards this second door. And he's just gonna go straight for it. No fear.
Can I get a perception check from you? Well, from anybody in the room, really, because there are a couple things you can find.
All right, I just got another 20. I don't know if you want me to re-roll that or not.
You're all right.
Okay.
Like I said, I trust your rolls. You only cheat yourself. Benegrin, you're going to be kind of pouring yourself over these tapestries, and you realize that there is this kind of spot that's sticking out a little bit, and it's blended really well with the way the tapestries are built, but the slaves seem almost three-dimensional, and as you get closer to it, you realize there's something that's making that tapestry stick out there where the slaves are in the first tapestry. For Hector, you approach the door, and unfortunately you were not able to notice this before it becomes almost too late. You see the door lash out like a viper towards you, and this sculpture that has been carved into the doorway actually reaches out and lashes at you. Your dexterity was basically or your spot was to stop the initial attack. This one's actually going to hit you and do 4 points of poison damage as the door lashes out. There is no save involved in this one. It just happens to be poison damage. And kind of as you reel back and pull your shield up between you and this facade of a snake, it curls back into the door, and it seems to be waiting like for you to get closer again.
I'm glad you got that door, not me.
He just kind of turns back and just gives you a scowl. Just like, can't believe I have to do this.
Nobody's making you do anything. You offered for the last one, I just took you up on it on this one. Don't get pissed because now I'm calling you on it. All right, boys. So what are we doing?
Yeah. When this snake came out, did it look like organic, or did it look like, what did it seem like it was made of? Like, would it be something that I could strike back at?
It looked like it was made of the sandstone that these doors are made out of. If you had to guess, it looks like kind of one of the war makers that you're familiar with, or the tome hearts even. In fact, it doesn't seem to be intelligent, so it's more relatable to a tome heart.
He just kind of looks towards the rest of the group. Any ideas of how we getting past this, or do we just go?
It's kind of meta knowledge for me, but he pointed out some three-dimensional slave things to somebody else.
Yes.
I
don't know that knowledge, so I can only reference
I don't either.
it.
I would mention that while you were doing that with the door and everything, I'm kind of putting my hand up against the wall. I would say, guys, come take a look at this and see these murals on the wall appear to be somewhat three-dimensional. There's something going on with the wall here. We might be able to open the door or figure out a different way to get through by what's going on here, and I'll show them the wall.
Okay. When you go to look at the wall, it's basically the Dismembered Lord like figure that is on top of the mountain and 3 subjugated slaves below. There are 3 rays of light, but one of them extends a little further that seems to be almost showing the Dismembered Lord figure's view upon his slaves. But if you follow that line, it points towards the person who's prostrating himself in the middle.
I touch it.
Okay. When you go to touch it, it recesses a little bit like it's a button press. And you hear click. And the statue of the snake begins to reel around. And it shows 2 heads on 2 separate doors now, instead of being one combined mural with 2 doors.
I look at Hector and I'm like, "You're up?"
Again, Buttercup.
Couldn't have thought to press that button a couple minutes sooner. And kind of preparing for the worst again. He's just going to kind of shield up and ready this time. Just going to try to proceed to the door again at his comrades prodding.
Right when he goes to touch it to open it, Drock is like, "Oh, wait. I got hit this last round. I got to keep in touch with myself a little bit." And you see his hands glow a little bit, and he just goes, and he heals himself for 8 points. So I'm getting back the 8 points that you did to me. I totally forgot that I had lay on hands. So I'm keeping in touch with myself and healing myself.
Paladin too.
Yeah.
I'm like, I deal a lot of damage. Oh yeah, I can heal for a little bit.
Yep, got to keep in touch with yourself, boys.
Can also slide by sand sharks.
Great escape plan. You guys took care of them.
You go to the door, and this time you're shield up, ready for it. I will give you advantage on this, but I do need a con save as the 2 heads spew green noxious gas at you that sparks as it comes out.
You sure there wasn't more buttons on that tapestry?
That is a 21.
Perfect. You're able to kind of, because you've got the shield there, the shield blocks the initial gas, and you pull up a bit of your fabric over your face to kind of keep these noxious fumes off of you. And the fumes kind of fill up the area that you're in, but the doors do open this time, and they open inward. As you see that, you see a man with a pickaxe who's just laid across the floor. He's received a mortal wound right underneath his rib cage on his right side, and he's leaned up against an open coffin. He's got a small bag next to him with a couple different bangles and jewels that have been spilt out on the floor.
Does he appear to be alive or breathing?
He's alive, but he's not doing well. He's been mortally injured, so unless he receives magical healing, he's probably going to die.
Beningrin would cautiously step up to him and assess his condition.
Does he look like a local, or like he might have came from our realm?
He looks like a local.
So Beningrin obviously wouldn't know, but does he technically have 0 hit points by chance?
Yes.
Can I use Spare the Dying?
Yes, that would work.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll use my last cantrip on this guy, Spare the Dying, and stabilize him.
When you use cantrips, they don't actually expire. You select your cantrips ahead of time, and then you can use them infinitely.
Oh, fantastic.
Yep. Never ending, my friend.
You reach out and you touch him, and a small glow of energy transfers between the two of you, and you can see his wounds close up just a little bit, and you know that it's enough that it will keep him alive. At least he's not well. If somebody came up and poked him, he's probably going to be done for. But he's going to survive at this point.
Ah, Oh, come on. You could have just left them for me.
Karag, no.
And he waves his axe at him. Grog must eat.
I'll kind of slap the guy up a little bit, and I don't want to actually slap him. I don't want to kill him, but if he's conscious, I'd like to ask him a few things. Is he awake?
He is. He kind of looks at you with almost these glassy eyes. He's actually a very young man. He says, "Who are you? You're not with them, are you?" And he kind of looks over you like he's looking for something.
I say, if you're looking for the emblem of the cultists, you will not find it on me. I'm not one of them. How did you get here?
I'm one of the guards. I protect the Serpent Lord's tomb.
So you're one of the cultists?
No. The cultists, they ambushed us and they killed all the guards, except for me. They've been subjecting me to snake venoms and worse. And he kind of grips at this wound that looking at it, you can see it was done with a trident.
Benninger will ask, how many cultists are there here?
He kind of thinks and he counts to himself and he says, there's only 4 cultists here right now, and their leader, Kurtz, that asshole stabbed me, and he kind of leans forward and you can see that he winces in pain and just immediately goes back to the position he was originally in. I just want to get the hell out of here. I took what I could find. I just want to go home to my wife and kid.
I would kind of suggest to the group that we set him somewhere that would be safe. I'll ask him, do you know of anywhere nearby where we could place you that you would remain safe while we take care of these cultists?
He nods and he reaches in his shirt and he pulls out a small amulet. This is a gatekeeper's amulet. It'll unlock the door at the end of the hallway. If you take it with you, you can get out, but so long as that door is closed, no one can get out without one of these.
So we could set
him. I have a few, but I still have mine at least.
So we could set him outside, keep his amulet, and nobody could get out?
He just let you know that he knows the cultists have some of those amulets, but that him giving you the amulet will give you a way out if you need to leave yourselves.
Okay. Yeah, basically, I just want to set him aside so that when we leave, we can take him with us and bring him back to life and everything.
There's a pretty good spot on the other side of that first door where you guys tied off the rope to the rock. You could actually kind of prop him up against that rock in such a way that unless they were really looking for him, they'd probably walk right past him.
Yeah, and I'll start doing that, and I'll ask for help from my comrades. Or maybe I won't ask for help.
And as you're kind of preparing to kind of slide him over, Hector reaches a hand down, and at first you think he's going to help you bring him over, and he just kind of waves his hand as to beckon to this guy and just says, "The amulet, please."
He hands it to you. He says, if you're going to stick around here, make sure you shove that trident up Kurt's ass. And he kind of tries to get himself up and he's just struggling with it. If you guys want to take advantage of it, he absolutely cannot stop you if you want to do anything to him, because I saw the chat.
Yeah, so I just take the amulet, kind of throw it over, toss it over my helmet, and kind of tuck it underneath my my breastplate for the time being. Anything we should know about this place before we go any further? You seem to know it well enough.
He kind of hobbles closer towards the door that's closest to you, the door number 2, and he says, yeah, Kurtz claims he knows a ritual to bring back the Serpent Lord. I don't know what the hell they're doing down there, but I think he figured out how to break open the chrysalis.
That's where Karag is sitting there trying to figure out, has his feelings about the bleak changed since they've
No, it's only grown stronger the deeper you've gotten into this place.
And I'm not feeling anything like specifically drawing me to any of the items that this guy's got on him, right?
No,
so okay.
But looking around inside this area, there's basically 4 tombs here, and then there are 2 doorways, one to the left and one to the right. You can feel bleak energy from both directions, but the strongest comes from the right.
So Karag is like, okay, I'm not gonna waste the healing that Bennigan's done. So he actually picks up this man and carries him out the door and sets him at this one particular location where he was pretty well disguised. And then he comes back in and he's like, he goes over and stands by the right door. He's like, this is the one we need to go into.
As Drock starts to walk towards that, he goes, if all of us make it out of here, that man's dead on the way out. We lose one of you, he becomes the next person, the 4th. Other than that, I don't give a fuck about that guy. I'm going to take all his shit, too.
I'll go taking all of it. Some of that's mine.
Well, take it for us.
Okay.
I'll be like, you sound like a pack of hyenas. Good Lord.
Thanks for the compliment. Let's get on with this.
Are you going to follow the direct path and go to the right as Karag has just suggested? Okay.
Sure.
Bloodhound has pointed the way. Let's go.
These are actual stone that has been moved to this location on purpose type doors. They're not from the area. You move past that right door, and jutting out from the wall are, the closest I could relate it to is the Mayan stairs of death. Basically, it's a sheer cliff, and there are rocks sticking out that are vaguely stair-shaped, and you can descend down along a wall with no railing. It's quite treacherous, and you guys have to slow down a little bit to do it. But you can hear the incantations coming from deeper inside here as the staircase kind of swirls to the left. And
okay, so you said that the door itself wasn't naturally part of this.
no, it is a stone that is not from this area. You can clearly tell that.
All right, so
It's actually an alabaster.
Okay, so Karag takes the stone door from being like up and down lengthwise and turns it so it's like sideways, takes his rope and ties it around it, and then uses it to like make sure that everybody's kind of like daisy chained along and can actually go down the stairs. So there's some type of we don't have a rail, but this will be the closest thing to kind of give people. I don't know if we're going to be rolling for checks or anything, but I figured that would be the best way to go down. So
You said that there's literally stairs here?
They are stairs, but they are the loosest definition of stairs. Essentially, it is a sheer rock face. There are stone pieces sticking out like this, and there's no railing on the other side or anything like that. And then there's like about 2 feet lower, another stone piece sticking out. They're
like those handy dandy traps that you've seen in every movie where they start to slide into the wall and you're trapped sitting there on the edge. Those.
I mean, they're not trapped as far as you can tell. They seem to be sturdy.
It's all right. We can get meta without actually meta in it.
You can go cautiously, which will take you time. But the reason I want to bring up time is just to give you guys an idea. This will be a timed encounter. I'm going to go ahead and do 6 rounds, essentially. Going down the stairs, you could move down them in 1 round. Or you could take your time and go cautiously. Or if you go down in 1 round, I need checks. If you go down cautiously, it will cost you 2 rounds. but no checks required. So you can hear the incantations coming from the room below you. Basically, the staircase is going to swirl to the left, and then you'll be inside a chamber.
Any gauge of the distance down?
Enough to kill. In fact, this side has spikes and things underneath it.
Just in case you were worried.
Worried? I wasn't worried. He's not much for. He's kind of a big guy, so these steps kind of. To him, he basically, Karag actually like lowers himself, so he's using his hands to walk himself down the edge of these steps.
Oh,
and
you're
he's
just
got the rope kind of
basically try and monkey bar it, kind of thing.
Yeah, because it's like he's like probably like 4 or 5 feet across with this big guy. So I mean, he'd be like tipped over and like trying to walk his way down. So yeah, he's gonna.
That means Karag is going to be taking. I was going to say that means Karag is going to be taking longer though, because of that, and I will need at least 1 athletics check.
And on top of that, I don't want to be tied to your ass if you're monkey barring it.
Don't worry about it. I'll let you guys come down after I get down there. I mean, I'm just saying, I'm not gonna.
Do I have a sense who might have the hardest time making their way down the stairs? Do I have a sense like that this is going to be more a dexterous thing or
Karag will probably have the most difficult way, just because of his sheer size and the way he's decided to address this problem. He's probably doing it the best way that he really could, just because of how big he was. He was going to have difficulty going down anyways.
All right, well, I'll give him guidance then.
Okay.
All right.
And so that means I'm breaking my concentration on Hector for the acid resistance.
Perfect. So let's first go down the line and see who wants to take the slow route, which we already know that Karag is going to be doing the slow route. His original suggestion was you can come down after he's down, which would mean that you would arrive on tick 3, basically, and have 3.
Or you guys could go before me.
Deal with the problem.
You guys could go before me, and I could just sit there and hold the rope in case you guys slip or fall or something. I could just pull you back up.
Krog, you bounce, right?
Less than you do, buddy.
So we can't just drop you off the edge?
From the height he's at right now, no, he'll definitely die.
Drac.
How much of a drop is this again?
But he will definitely die.
How much of a drop is this again?
It's quite a bit, and it's spiked at the bottom.
And now there's spikes. Yeah. I guess with spikes, I think that would reinforce my opinion of taking it slow.
Okay. So you're going to take 2 to get down there. Krog's going to take 2 to get down there. Hector.
I'm torn on this one. Yeah. Acrobatics aren't my strong suit, so I think I'm gonna take a chill on this one too.
Okay. And Benegrin, are you also going to go with the same pace as everybody?
I don't know. I wanted to get down there quicker, but I guess if everybody else is taking their time, I guess I will as well.
Okay. I do need a athletics check from Karag because of the monkey bar situation.
I think we left that guy alive. We might be needing a 4th.
Well, it's a modified 20, so.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, you are able to be fine throughout it. You hit the bottom of the staircase, and it opens up into this very large chamber, and there's this white crystal that is on the back that resembles the crystal that you saw before, but it's not Bleakstorm colored or alive with energy. Instead, you see this writhing, gigantic snake that is whipping and smashing against the crystal. It hisses out, and you can see that it has one singular large fang that immediately you recognize as that is a Bleakshard for its fang. The 3 cultists are on raised daises 2 on the side, 1 close to you guys as you come down the staircase. They're chanting, and they have these long scrolls floating in front of them as this arcane energy binds those 3. And you see the one that is probably Kurtz, who stands in front of all of them on a slightly raised up platform just in front of the white crystal with this woman screaming. And he has this obsidian knife that has been designed so that it looks like he's holding a snake by its throat. And it's got 2 prongs for blades. And he's about to cut into the woman.
How far are the cultists away from each other?
They're about 20 feet away from each other.
So
The closest one to you is about 10 feet away.
yeah, so what was the main guy's name?
Kurtz.
Kurtz.
Furthest away, he's about 30 feet away.
30 feet away.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
The room
Would
is
you
very
say that
wide,
they,
very tall?
would you say that they, so essentially my silence has a 20-foot radius, and do I get a sense of who has the, like, if one of them is the main chanter in this, or
If you were to hit the guy that's closest to you, like target him, who happens to be 10 feet away from you, it'll go 20 feet from him, which will hit all of them at once.
yeah, so that's totally what I want to do.
Okay. Because from the guy that's closest to you, they're all 20 feet away. They're just on the edge of it.
Now, are you telling anybody about this maneuver, or are you just casting this?
Well, I wasn't sure, because I think if we say anything, they're not aware of us.
Yeah, they haven't noticed you right now. So if you wanted to take a moment before you go screaming blind rage into the cultists, this would be your moment.
Yeah, I would definitely notify you guys that I can silence them if they have any magical powers, which they clearly do, in this moment before anything happens.
Well, keep in mind that any of your spells in the silence aren't going to work if it has any type of vocal aspect to it. I got my charm. I'm good to go.
And Hector just kind of hefts his spear up and says, yeah, I can silence him too.
That works as well. But if we want to stop him from chanting, his silence kind of covers all the bases.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do it. I'll cast silence on all of them, and I will interrupt whatever it is they're doing and ensure that they can't cast any crap on us.
And the spell goes out, and it's this strange thing. It's unnatural. Everything that should make noise makes 0 sound, and it pours over. It actually pours over you as well. So even your own footsteps don't make a noise, and it takes almost a moment for the cultists to catch on. But in that time, you guys are going to be able to spring a surprise round against those cultists. The 3 closest to you, you'll be able to get to this round. However, to get to Kurtz, who's the furthest away, it'll take you to next round. So if somebody wants to go to him, then that'll take a little longer.
Fantastic.
Okay, we'll go down initiative order, which let me pull that up here again. I believe Benningham's first, because the cultists are surprised right now. They don't get initiatives yet.
All right. Can't cast.
Say your spell would be the start of the turn.
Okay.
Fair for everybody. So you can move still, or use a bonus action if you've got one still.
The only bonus actions I have are spells, which I cannot do. So I will move I will position myself actually behind Hector.
Okay.
So yeah, I just kind of shimmy back behind him.
Drock, the spell has settled over. That familiar sound of your sword drawn from scabbard doesn't reach your ears, but you expected that. What would you like to do?
Hoy vey. Let's see. So he didn't move into the room, correct? He's behind Hector.
He stepped behind Hector, so you guys are still at the very bottom of the staircase.
All right, so he just kind of looks over, kind of shrugs at Hector. You see him kind of bring his hands together and rubs them. And it's weird because there's no sound. There's no clap. And as he rubs his hand together, they start to glow. And then he brings them out and claps them again. And, and like this, almost like this gold dust comes off of him and starts settling on his companions. And I'm casting Bless on all of us. So we all get a D4 to our attacks.
Okay.
Attack rolls and saving throws. And with that,
You said we get an extra D4?
yeah, on our
Okay,
attack rolls and that. I can't make an. That is that. I think I'm actually done. That
Okay.
kind of sucks, but for
Hector.
a surprise round.
Yeah. Hector?
Hector seeing his spellcaster friends kind of hanging back, kind of preparing. He just kind of you would have heard the sound of him scoffing, except it just rings, echo. It just nothing pierces into this just eerie magical silence, and he just starts just dashing towards the guy that's closest to us, spear drawn, and he's just basically going to leap at him and try to just drive the spear like downward through his chest.
You get that 1d4 for your attack roll.
Yeah, so that's going to be 23.
Okay. That'll hit.
All right, so that's going to be 11 damage.
Perfect. Cultists are super easy to kill, like little paper dolls. So go ahead and describe how you impale him.
Yeah, so Hector just starts sprinting towards this guy, his feet making no noise across the silenced floor. He just leaps into the air, almost like a cheetah pouncing towards prey, as he lifts his spear up and just shoves it straight down, just right angled down, goes right through his heart. And it would crash against the stone floor if there was any sound that it could make, as it just impales him straight through. You actually see as the tip of the spear hits the ground, a crack just goes up his spear, as the wood is actually damaged by the force of the spear impaling through and smashing into the floor.
Perfect. And the paper that was floating in front of him that it was reading off of, there are sparks flying from them. The energy that was arcing between these three scrolls and going to the crystal is breaking apart. Now that you've killed one, the paper falls out of this chain, and now it's two pieces on the ends, because you got the guy in the middle, that are just flailing wildly like the plasma guns from Ghostbusters.
Right. And I don't know exactly how you want to do it, but I don't know how far away I am from another cultist and how far I've moved so far.
You were about 10 feet from the first guy, and there's 20 feet to the next guy.
Okay, because I have another attack. Am I allowed to use another move and then use my second attack for my action? Or are we going to call that my turn?
That's where mobility actually pays off, because it's a bonus action for your movement. Your attacks, when you do the attack action, it's movement. Movement can be divided, but once you do your attack action, all those attacks have to be during the same sequence.
Okay. If I have a bonus action I can do, can I do the non-attack bonus action after the move?
Yes.
Okay. So Hector just starts sprinting towards this next cultist, kind of the one that would have been furthest in the other direction.
Mm-hmm.
And he just runs up towards this cultist, and he just brings up his large round shield, and I'm going to use my shield master feat to just bash him in the face with my shield and try to knock him prone.
Perfect.
So what's his passive athletics?
So he's on a little bit of a dais. His passive is 12.
All right. So
Sorry,
yeah,
11. He's
yeah, mine's 17. So
okay. He's on a little bit of a dais, so when you knock him prone, he actually falls off the dais. The second paper falls out of the air, and the last one is just whipping around. Hector, as you charged, you had to actually dodge the energy coming off of it, because you can see it scoring like black marks against the floor as the energy like beam flips around. The side that you went over to, the right side, is completely gone from its connection to the crystal. The guy on the left now has two beams that are just whipping around out there. Next up is going to be Karag. You've got one guy who's about 20 feet away from you to the left. And the cultist, who will take 2 rounds to get to.
Okay, so even taking taking my normal move and then the dash action will...
That'll fix it, but I mean,
Okay.
that's basically double moving.
Right. Okay. So yeah, that's essentially, he readies his axe. And you can see he comes from behind the rest of them. There's this like red like wisp of stuff coming off, and he just charges past the crystal and completely past Hector and right towards the Kurtz.
Okay.
I assume he's wearing a name tag. He's got a name tag, right?
He
Hi,
is.
I'm Kurtz.
I was gonna say he definitely feels like he's probably a Kurtz, considering he's over there shirtless and has like a giant snake engraved into his flesh, like he's been flayed rather.
Right. So yeah, that's where I end my turn, is right there.
And he's got the knife up. He still hasn't noticed you because he's in the silence. And this would be the time where they start noticing the other one that has these 2 beams of whipping energy is trying to grab the paper and break the spell before it destroys him. But he's not able to because he can't speak the words to finish the spell. So these 2 beams are crossing each other. And as soon as they touch, this huge spark of arcane energy explodes out. I do need to save from Binnigan and from Drak. It's a dexterity save, please.
Okay, so that's not like a normal skill test, right?
No, you will add your dexterity modifier to a d20 roll. As a cleric, you don't have proficiency in dexterity.
Correct, right. That's a 4 plus 3 is a 7.
Okay. Unfortunately, neither one of you are going to be able to make it. You'll be knocked prone and take 4 points of bleak damage, which is basically necrotic. And next up is going to be the cultist Kurtz, who will wheel around trying to figure out what's going on and see that Krang has moved up and is basically preparing to drop the executioner's axe on him. He's going to take the sacrificial dagger that he has, and he just lashes out at Krang. Or Karag, rather. Karag, how would you like to defend? And go ahead and do your defense check.
So actually, Craig's going to use his axe as the his means for blocking this.
Okay.
And let's see. So I need to roll and then get a 12. Okay. So what's okay? Yeah. Let's go. All right. I rolled a 14. Now this is where I'm. What is his? I'm trying to figure out what the contest score is that I'm supposed to be trying to achieve here. So that's where I'm confused.
So basically, it's your armor class minus 10.
Right. Minus 10. So that's 4. Okay. So 18.
Okay. With an 18, you're going to successfully parry his weapon. Now, the one thing that I did want to check is on your usage die, which was the D12. Did you get a 1?
No, I got a 6. So
perfect. So you parry his blow, and it's not like a clean parry because he's using a stabbing implement and you've got a big 2-handed axe. It's more like you managed to like hit his hand with the stock of your axe, and the two of you kind of scuffle a little bit as you push back, and he attempts to push back. You're going to see that the cultist whose scroll basically blew up on him got thrown to the wall, and his paper fell to his dais. He's still alive, but he's injured. Next up is going to be Benegrin.
Okay. Let me check and see is silence a concentration? It is. Did I lose my concentration when I fell prone?
I do need you to make a check for that, actually, because it's not necessarily the prone part, it's the damage that you could possibly lose it for. And it's going to be 10 plus the damage you received, so a 14.
Is the DC?
Yes.
Okay, and is it a wisdom check?
That is going to be your constitution plus a d20.
Okay, constitution 0. Great. That's a 3.
Okay. So unfortunately, your concentration will break as you hit the ground. It's deafening for a second because all of the sound comes back. You hear that bang of the arcane energy start to fade out because there's still a little bit of that sound resonating. And you can hear this smashing sound as the chrysalis, what they call the chrysalis, this giant clear crystal, shows a singular crack down it, and the snake is looking predatorily out at you guys because what you're doing is it hampering its chance at freedom here. The clock has ticked down. It is down to 2 now to be able to resolve this issue before this thing breaks out.
Okay. So as my move action, I will stand up from prone, and then
That's half your movement, by the way.
Yes.
Okay, half my movement. Okay. I probably can't reach anybody to attack them with my staff, correct?
No, but you could close the distance to the guy that fell off. He would be about 10 feet away from you.
Could he still dash?
You absolutely could dash, which would close the distance. You just wouldn't be able to attack.
That would be your full movement in half at this point, because half to get up. Dash is double your movement speed. So you'd run.
How are my friends looking as far as their vitality? Is anybody
suffering grievous wounds just yet? Okay.
No grievous wounds.
All right, I will reach out with a sacred flame on the cultist who got blasted by the scroll.
Okay.
And he has to make so explain to me this again. It's normally a dexterity saving throw. So what do I roll for that?
Your spell DC -8, and then add that number to a d20.
Was that guy prone?
Yes, he was. So you're gonna
isn't that an auto fail? Or is it that
Just with
restraint?
advantage.
Dexterity? I believe it's advantage.
Yeah.
I knew one of them is an auto fail. If they, I think it might be when they.
That's if they're stunned.
Yeah,
They're stunned or paralyzed.
Stunned or paralyzed, grappled, something like.
Okay, so what do you need to know about me to tell me what I have to?
What is your spell DC currently? 14. Right?
Yes, my spell save DC. Yeah, 14.
Okay, so -8 means it's a 6. You get to add 6 to a d20 roll, but you have advantage on this, so you're going to roll 2.
Gonna roll it twice
and keep the higher.
First one's a 6. Second one's a 10 plus 6 is a 16.
Perfect. A 16 will definitely break his defense there. So go ahead and do damage, and if you do more than 4 points of damage, you can express how he dies.
So 2d8. First one's a 4. Second one's a 3. So 7 damage.
Perfect.
Did he die on that one?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I reach out with this. You see this not a pillar, but this almost this little sine wave of flame come flying, and just before it hits him, it bursts out right in front of him, and it just consumes him, and he just it burns down to his flesh, or burns down to his bones, and he just kind of collapses, or I guess he was already collapsed, so he just kind of burns.
Perfect. And we can hear that kind of whimpering death cry as he goes out. Next up is going to be Drak.
Drac would end up getting up, and there's only one cultist left, right? That's Kirk.
Yeah.
And he's probably a good 30.
Did anybody kill the one that I shield bashed yet?
Yes, that one is still up as well. Which
Oh,
you
that
can do that one with and attack at this turn.
Oh, then yeah, he gets up and you see this little guy scurrying across the ground as he comes across. Is that guy still on the ground?
Yes, he's prone.
Yes.
Hector is up in the dais where he knocked him out, and this guy is now on the floor. So you actually have an easier time getting to him than if you had to climb the dais.
So he just comes running by, and he's literally going to pretty much Happy Gilmore this guy right in the dome.
Okay.
He's nice and short. Like this is almost like this is a side swipe for him. He doesn't even have to swing low. This is just perfect right at eye level for him.
And you do have advantage on this.
I don't even have to use a spell or anything. I might have to use a spell. Oh wait, I got my D4. Remember that, guys. Looking at 15.
That'll hit.
All right. All right. So looking at a 3 for my damage for the durability roll, and 7 points of damage. I just come clean in right across like the ear and the jaw. That dog is mad.
You cut into his ear, and your blade ends up cutting across just the way he was laying. You can see bits of his armor just scatter across. He's wearing just kind of these light robes that have bits of metal sewn into them. Your attack was able to decimate his armor as part of everything. The cultist Kurtz can actually hear now, looks dead at Karag, and begins saying some words in Orcish, which you recognize as basically a challenge, that he's saying that your death or mine, one way this will be finished.
Oh, for sure.
Hector, it is your turn.
All right, so Hector just immediately kind of seeing this cultist that he just bashed off of this platform just get immediately just destroyed by this sword. He kind of immediately turns his gaze over to the next target, which is, of course, Kurtz. And he just is going to start running towards him and kind of pulls the spear back just to try to just thrust it straight through at him.
Okay.
D4 for your attack.
The easiest way is to hop over the railing, which isn't going to cost you any extra movement. But like you kind of do this hop over the railing and then bring your spear to bear as you come in.
All right, and that is a 22.
That will hit.
And so it's going to be 9 damage. Is this? I imagine Kurtz is facing like the other way from me, right?
Yeah, you're coming in from his left side.
Yeah, so he's facing towards Karag, and he just hears the footsteps come from behind him. And by the time he can turn and look, he just sees this bronze spear point just kind of pierce right through the left side of his abdomen, as he just kind of feels this immediate piercing just tear through his side.
Perfect. And Karag, you see this as a good opportunity. He's been skewered by your ally, and he has left himself open to your relentless strike.
All right. So, doing what I forgot to do in the last combat, I have 2 attacks. All right. So let's see. Got so a D4 on the attacks, right?
Correct.
From the paladin. Okay. So let's see. 23 and a 17.
Okay, both of those will hit.
Okay. No weapon breakage on the. And I am taking advantage of my ability to reroll ones or twos on my damage. And that will give us, so that's 5, 8, 12 physical damage, and then an additional 6 cold damage.
Okay.
As this,
he brings his ritual dagger to bear to try and defend against you, and your first axe blow sinks in and just knocks this weapon aside, and you can see that the crossguard that was protecting his hand shatters away and bends back, almost pinning his hand to the dagger now. As your axe bites into his arm, you bring it around with another flourish. He goes to block with the 2 fang points that I was talking about earlier, and your axe just smashes between, and with a twist, you break both as you bring the axe into his own chest. His dagger is completely ruined.
dang, they have so much for souvenirs. Okay, anyway, so, yeah. That's,
I rolled his durability, and he got 1 on the 6 for the first attack, and then got 1 on the 4 for the second. I was like, well, I guess that's it for him.
so much for the, yeah, and as a, yeah, I don't have much else, I think, on a bonus right now.
When your axe lands in, you can see the creeping crystalline form of ice coming from his wound, and you can see that life is leaving this cultist. He proved to be more of an adversary than the others, but just because of your combined efforts, you can see that he's about to fall. You know that a victim that has been killed by your ice will often crystallize, and once you break your axe out of it, he's going to fall into icy blood chunks.
So, yeah, he's Craig looks down and rips his axe out of it. He's like, you can see that the crystallized blood is all over it. He just wipes it across his face. He's like, just pushes this guy to the floor. Just, and then he takes his move to turn around and face his chrysalis, because he figures that's where the next.
Perfect. You go to face the chrysalis, and there are the 3 scrolls of paper that are around here, and the beast that's inside, this giant serpent, seems to be watching all of you. It's no longer lashing out. It lashes out a couple times, but the crack doesn't grow.
Drak is still over by the last guy that he just felled, half of his face ruined. He just kind of looks down at him and like as hard as he can, just kicks the other side of his face. How many other people died coming here? This is what they got. We just wiped the floor with these fuckers. And what's this? And he kind of walks up to the shard and kind of not hard, but just taps like a sword on it. And who the fuck are you supposed to be?
The serpent just kind of looks at you with like an unnatural knowledge, like that you wouldn't expect from a snake, and it reminds you of the murals that you saw inside the other room. I'm going to go ahead and do kind of a quick wrap up if you guys are okay with that, because we are getting close to the end and I don't want to extend it too much further for you guys because I know it's late. After poring over the scrolls, you're able to determine that there is a way that you can essentially partially free the beast and get its head out. With a little bit of teamwork, you guys are able to combat the beast and extract its tooth, leaving the serpent essentially to die because its head is outside of the crystal, but its body is still inside. The tooth is the Bleakshard that you have been sent to retrieve. Because you did it in a timely manner, you were able to return and slay the guy that you left at the front door, that you never got his name. You also are able to return to the origin point that you started about a day after being sent. Dr. Velden from your realm will pull you back if you so choose. Is there anybody that wishes to stay here, or do you wish to return to the glory that is service to the Dismembered Lord?
Drock would definitely return, but he'd realize something upon returning, especially as soon as he got back into our natural realm, is that all of a sudden a connection that he hadn't felt in a long time was gone again. That he doesn't have the connection to his god that he originally had in this one, and it's waning. But over there, he didn't even realize it, that his spells were acting the way that they were supposed to, that his connection to the god had not been severed anymore. And it's almost like probably a surreal moment, getting back and realizing that he just cut off connection to power again.
And this time it was by choice.
Venom gonna look down at his red toga, and, and the thought will creep up in his mind, like, I am a significant person here. But then that quickly gets replaced with the memories of why he served the Dismembered Lord and why he did this in the first place, and he'll go back.
And Hector would absolutely return without any hesitation, returning to what he believes will be his glorious rise. So not a stop in the world for him.
Karags is probably the one that stops, because for him there isn't really much that he's found as a challenge in the original world. This he might come back later, but the sand beast, the mini fanged beetle is an attraction for him. He's got something to prove with this one. So.
And they were the tales of the gladiatorial arena where you could just fight people all day. So you arrive back in your world. Dr. Velden will take the shard, which is like a 6-foot snake's fang, essentially, that you guys have drug back through the portal with you. And he'll lock it in place inside this large glass and copper tube. It'll quickly fill up with this red fluid. And he begins conducting tests, and he says, Harbinger Malice Thorn will give you your rewards. I must continue testing. Congratulations on living. And he picks up his clipboard and immediately walks away from you guys, and he begins writing down numbers and taking measurements and things like that. And true to his word, the Dismembered Lord rewards those that are loyal to him. He takes Benegrin to the side and teaches Benegrin of the more necromantic arts of being a cleric, and teaching him that this is what your father has kept from you. These are clerical secrets that have been kind of hidden, because ultimately, if anyone should have power over life and death, it should be those that serve the Dismembered Lord. And so it is kind of one of those upper echelon secrets that he's beginning to teach you. At your level, you can't quite command that realm of magic, but he's beginning to coach you and bring you in on that. The last scene that we see Benegrin, he enters into this large courtyard with other clerics that are practicing small necromantic arts, bringing back to life little rats and things like that. And we see Benegrin's father, the man who was in the toga with the beacon, as a instructor here. And a creeping smile goes over his face, but it's a tired smile as he sees Benegrin. Next, we go to Hector, who has been given a small legion and a chance to prove himself on foreign lands. Unfortunately, he didn't get to go to to Arazios like he planned. Instead, he was sent to Leith, a place that is frozen and full of Viking-like men. It was a terrible campaign, and Hector has more than a few broken bones and scars by the end of it. But no matter how much he tries, the people of Leith will not allow the Dismembered Lord to get a foothold. It's a tireless and unending campaign, and we close on Hector poring over a battlefield map and with little miniature boats that he's positioning in different areas, and talking with an arcane user about providing suppressing fire and things like that. Next, we go to Karag, who is quite possibly the strangest one out of all of you. We see this large vat, and Karag is strapped inside there floating, kind of like Logan when he's in the Weapon X program. There are tubes that are coming down that have been impaled into his chest, and then the screen cuts out from there. We go back to Drak, who is kneeling before the Dismembered Lord, and the Dismembered Lord turns and presents him with a new sword. Drak, would you like to narrate from there if you want to do something? Because the Dismembered Lord is presenting you with a new magic weapon.
You see Drak kneeling before this man that he now considers, for all intents and purposes, a god, bestowing upon him, almost knighting him with this new magical weapon. And he takes it, reveres it, and all seems well. And as he returns to his room in the night, out of the shadows, steps almost like a disembodied voice. So you're completely in now. Of course. I have his utmost trust. The Copper Jackals thank you for your information. We'll be working again in the future. Till next time, Drak.
The scene goes dark, and then it goes back to this red glow in kind of a dark room, and we see Karag inside the vat again, and there's a pulse of energy that goes down the hoses, and immediately Karag's eyes open. They are a gold of the kind of lightning that strikes out from the bleak storms, and he begins punching the glass, breaking it open. But before he completely escapes the vat with this new power, the camera cuts out, leaving it as a cliffhanger for Karag, Ultimate Destroyer Part 2. With that done, that was essentially a reskinned version of the adventure kit playtest from Absolute Tabletop with a couple variant rules. I wanted to talk to you guys about the variant rules. I'm going to keep my feedback about the adventure stuff on my end, but I just want to know if you guys enjoyed it and like the process, because that's a big feedback thing that we would like to provide.
Yes. If you're asking right now, yeah.
Yeah.
Then certainly, yeah. I thought I've watched a lot of 5th edition, and so I know of a lot of things that you can do and stuff like that. This definitely felt I don't know. It felt a little bit. It felt different. Again, I don't have much experience to bring as a player to the table, so I enjoyed it. And
I think the defense roll thing was pretty cool. It was a little slow since we were all new to it, but I think the added addition of being able to narrate your defenses and stuff a little bit more actively, or at least reminding the GM to let you narrate your defenses, was a lot cooler. That was the one thing that I thought was cool about it, because usually, it misses you, and then I move on.
Right. Yeah, definitely like that.
Perfect. Anybody else got any opinions?
I never really had to. Oh, go ahead.
The one thing that I would say about the whole players roll everything is like it didn't really come up in this game, but it seems like it could get a little hairy if you're starting to get into like AoE spells and things like that.
Yeah,
Or
because
like at that point, are you having like the player roll like 7 attacks, or you like just do one attack but have it affect everybody, and you just
I
kind
would
of
do it as
blanket
one roll and affect each person the same. So, like, say the player got a 16 and one guy's defense is a 17, that guy gets the save, but the rest of them fail. That's
Yeah.
probably how I would do it, just for ease.
Yeah, but it did have a lot of cool opportunities, like you were saying, for like how you would defend something. Like you don't need these rules to do that, but it helps to kind of segue that kind of
Yeah.
request in of getting to do it. So,
And to be fair, I did change them a little bit because the way it's written, you guys would actually technically be doing like this weird roll on yourselves. I kind of streamlined it and be like, okay, you guys get a defense roll. Done. I liked it too because I could narrate them coming in to attack you, and it was literally you guys responding. So, like, I block with my axe or I put my shield in the way. I thought that was really cool.
I don't believe Drock ended up actually getting swung at. He did more damage to himself accidentally than anything. But from watching it and playing so much 5th edition, the standard 5th edition, it was definitely a change. I still don't have a full grasp on all the rules and exactly how you figure them out, but didn't expect to anyways. Figured there was going to be a learning curve to start with. But you are totally right that it definitely puts to the forefront the describe your defense.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, it does end up falling a little short sometimes in games, but that happens in as soon as it gets to combat. Most people are too busy, and I do it too. You're looking at your character sheet, trying to figure out what's going to happen next, how you're going to work into the system, and combat becomes that hack and slash.
Yeah,
and it's not so much about defense. It's not so much about the flurry or sliding on a shield past the damn shark dude. Like. Those little moments make fun little moments, and you got to try to remember to have them in there. And this helps highlight those. Like, now here is your chance, and we're going to make it in the forefront of what is your defense, what is your attack, and it just kind of puts you in a different mindset.
Yeah, I was thinking about it when I was reading through the rules for the monster hunting game. I play a defensive fighter, and like having that opportunity in there seems like it would be actually really cool for a character that's built more on defense to be able to shine, because like some of those defensive abilities, like your shield bash, do kind of cross into that offensive category, but at the same time, it's like your shield just gives you a flat number, whereas making the roll encourages people to describe. So I like how that turned out.
It's definitely one thing that at least in the Monster Hunter and stuff like in the Dragongrin games, where playing with Jake, playing with you, playing with Marquise, nothing in all honesty against any of you guys. Like, just saying, you guys have honed your skill. To Marquise particularly, that boy can describe anything that you would like. I had a ham and cheese sandwich this morning, and he's going to make you want that ham and cheese sandwich so bad from his description of it.
Yeah, what I mean is I like that it encourages it, especially for like new players. Because like me, from a GM standpoint, like Nathan, who hasn't played 5th edition but has played other previous games, if I say, "Hey, how do you defend? Why don't we talk about it a little bit?" I think that's cool because it does invite them more into the conversation that is role playing.
You're kicking open the door for that type of stuff. And as soon as you start going into how you defend, it makes you think about more how you attack as well. So you end up accidentally starting to describe and narrate more.
I liked the idea of the weapon usage die, but I didn't feel like it showed up as much as I wanted it to. Like, I kind of wanted one of you to lose a weapon during the adventure and have to deal with whatever you found on a corpse. And it just didn't happen.
Yeah, I cracked my spear, but like, I mean, like having it only be on a 1, like even I was just rolling D6s there, and literally like one time out of like the 8 attacks that I made. Like,
yeah, I mean, the only person that broke something was the minion, who just got a terrible set of rolls during one attack.
I think that would have to be left out of a one shot and meant more for a campaign, where it's something where you're going to have to keep track of it. Of like, all right, dude, I hit a 1 2 times on the last game. That means that I'm only down to the a D4 on my shield. I'm going to have to replace one soon.
I would even think that if you do it that way, then doing the repair of the weapon would be a long rest only thing than to really make it sell too. I think it would probably work better, maybe worked out a little bit differently, and for a campaign it would work out great.
And I think you would have to make a skill roll for it too, unless you have like smithing tools. Then it brings smithing tools into a whole new light there.
That's true, yeah.
To be able to, like, you're gonna have,
which would be good, because like my biggest complaint about 5th edition is what I refer to as like campfire skills. Like anytime you take camp, the guy who cooks, he just cooks it, unless you have the gourmand feat and you specifically go out there and try to think of ways to RP cooking. It's just one guy cooks and then we go to bed.
If you even cover it, most of the time you don't even bring it up. It's just, okay, you camp, roll your hit die, now let's go.
Like we rest, moving on. Like,
which that's the one thing I really liked about how the journey system works for Adventures of Middle Earth, because it addresses something that is typically glazed over and gives it a new life. And so I like to see that kind of thing in a game. So maybe something a little bit more refined would work out better.
I think when we're talking about combat, it's if you know the system or you've played pen and paper RPGs before, you know that a lot of things happen concurrently. And so like while I'm casting my Sacred Flame or whatever it is, and I'm burning up a guy, the gnome is running past me, bashing this guy in the head, and Zarag is going chung chung. There's 2 hits so all these things are happening concurrently. And I think the defensive role, the players roll everything defensive role, really helps kind of tease that out a little bit and give more of a flow to the action, where, because we're already thinking like, okay, well, this is happening while this is happening, and then this player's turn, and now he's happening. So now I can get this good, cool battlefield picture. But then when you add that players roll everything into there, that helps you tease that out and gives you more details, more of the cool stuff that you're already imagining.
Yeah, definitely. So I want to thank you guys and the viewers that we've had. We've had 3-4 viewers the whole time, which for me on a Wednesday night, that's pretty good. So I'm happy with that. So for everybody who has tuned in, thank you very much. These guys pitched some stuff during the break. If you missed it, make sure you go back and check that out. They all have channels to take a look at. One thing that I did want to repeat is this was done through the Absolute Tabletop group on Facebook. We are, not just me or these guys in here, but tons of people all the time are recruiting stuff. And I want to say that there are like 8 games that cropped up this week alone. That some of them are still looking for players. So definitely go out there and try and fill it out, because a lot of these GMs are really great. Not just myself or some of the ones that you might have seen through my stuff. We've got new and up and coming GMs that sit at their table. You never know. You might end up getting the next Marquise there and not even realize it.
I know Tyler put up like I think like 2 or 3 posts in the past 2 days.
I know he's got a Dragongrin coming up too. So if you like the idea of a super dark, gritty, the world has gone to shit campaign, that's Dragongrin for you.
He'll give it to you as well. He's an excellent DM.
Perfect. So with that said, guys, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you at the gaming table.